morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here, Chris, from New York, Westchester County. It's 6/24/21. It's almost the end of June, guys. Get cracking. Get done what you want to get done in the summertime, because the next thing you know, it's going to be August 24th. You're going to say, fuck, what happened in the last 4 weeks? Here we are. Okay. Let's, a couple things I want to talk to you about. They control everything. They control everything. They control who's going to become famous. They control what's going to make you scared. They control what you're going to believe. Who are they? Well, those are the handlers. You'll never meet them. But there's also something called the media. And all I have to do is just put it in your face on a daily basis, over and over and over and over again. It'll finally sink in. Isn't that sad? That's why I worry about our children and how they're being lied to. You know? Because over and over and over again, every single day, they're looking at a globe. They're looking at cartoons. They're looking at whatever's on TV, and every fucking parent out there should be monitoring what's going on, because now they're putting transgender shit in there. They're putting all sorts of stuff in there. They're giving rights for a child under the age of 14 to make a decision of becoming male or female. That's great. That's just great, guys. I really am absolutely disgusted when I hear that. If you want to make a decision like that, well, then you better make it when you're well into your adulthood. You know, and that's fine. I don't care. You know, that's perfectly fine. But you don't make some decision like that when you're a child. And that's what you are under the age of 15. A decision that's going to impact their entire life. And they're allowing this. Don't you see what they're doing? I mean, they're just trying to divide us by twofold, you know? When I go into they control everything they control. They control who's going to become famous, okay? It's not Hollywood. It's them. It's the media. It's the soap opera shows and all the other nonsense out there. If you put an actor or actress in front of that person, just by commercials, just by hairstyle commercials, and having a stick of deodorant, yeah, okay, look, okay, I can understand they're being programmed during this period of time, and I agree with that. And the producers want to see how they're going to act on TV and how they look on TV. But look, they've already chosen who's going to be on the next Hollywood show, the next movie. So none of them have any talent. You know, they've just been chosen to do it. And the ones who do have talent usually drop out. And then they end up owing money. And then they become broke. So that makes sense, doesn't it? So, you know, here you go with that. I mean, it's so sad. It really is how living here, the life that we've chosen, and we all chose to be here, by the way. I mean, there's only one reason why, you know, when 8 seconds, anything that you think is known 8 seconds before you even fucking think it. That's great, guys. You have no choices. Your choice is here. You chose to be here. This is what you chose. And don't go back and say, oh, you know, if I hit that baseball the correct way on my bat, I could have become a... No, that's bullshit. Okay? You chose to be here. You chose this life. This is who you are, and this is how it is. Sorry. It sucks, doesn't it? It's like you're not supposed to be happy down here. This is a learning lesson for you. You think all this is real life? You think all the sun and the stars and the moon? You think the solar system is real? You think we've dug down 8 miles and all of a sudden They just make up shit. You know, come on, don't you understand this? You know, I could understand the interview. While you're sitting down there and say, look, I got something for you here. Come down to this area. You have no control about what's going on. The politics, but the fucked up thing about it is 100 years ago or 200 years ago, they did have control. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, they did have control. It just went crazy in the last 75 years. Even before they discovered the earth is flat and we're covered with a dome or whatever. But I'm just saying, but it just got nuts, you know. There's old money, and that old money is 300-400 years old. That goes back generation by generation by generation, and you can track it from generation to generation, and not using that stupid whatever that thing is called that you send your. That's just to get your genes, basically. That's ancestral.com. That's what it's called. Okay, I can't even believe I said the fucking name. Now I just advertised them. Great. Don't ever buy it. It's bullshit. Bullshit. Nonsense. Garbage. Just crap. Which brings me down to Lady Gaga. Oh, that's right. She's got a concert coming up. So make sure you watch this, okay? Let's see what kind of new satanic stuff that she has going on now. With the eyebrows, the lipstick, and the hair, and whatever she's wearing, and the dance moves that she makes, and all those great little things they like to put in there to keep the lie going. To keep it, to make it think that you can become a movie star one day, you know, to make it think that you can become somebody just because you have talent. Oh man, I mean it is it's something that's there, you know. It's there, it's out there. We all know, you know, once you're a flat earther, you know all of this shit, and it's so easy to figure out. And you can't watch TV, you can't listen to the radio, you can't do anything anymore. You know, I mean, it's just not life. Not a real life. Okay, real life is this. This is real life. Talking to flat earthers, reaching out to flat earthers, and gathering information to flat earthers, and exchanging knowledge. Okay, and I can't even get into what I really want to get into because, of course, they'll take this freaking video down, and what's the point in giving a strike, and then I'm done for another week. So, no, I'm not going to allow it. But you know what I'm talking about. If you know who I am and you've seen all my videos, you know what I'm talking about. Okay? All right, you know that everything out there is bullshit. Everything. Every single thing. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, you know what? Look. I mean, you've got the movie stars that are fake. Okay, you've got sports that's bullshit. You've got the sun and the moon and the entire universe bullshit. Not, okay? I mean, you have all of this stuff that's there. You've got an area here that they say that has multi-layers of cores, and we have only dug down 8 miles. You know, I mean, it's just such bullshit. It's unbelievable how people buy this. I mean, these brain dead fucking people have no fucking clue what's really going on around them, and they don't care because they're so fucking busy and involved with their life. They just don't care. They don't want to be bothered. And if they do find out the truth, holy shit, they're gonna wake up. And I don't know what to tell them. You know, I mean, it's something that has to be sunk in over and over and over again to people that the earth is flat. Okay, and the problem is Google will suppress every video that's out there. People can't find me. You know, they have no idea who I am, most people. I mean, you know, I went to a flat earth conference the other day. I think only maybe a handful of people, maybe 3 or 4 people out of like 300 people even knew who I was. You know, and these are flat earthers that are searching for other flat earth videos. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know, hey, look, I don't have a high number of subs, but that doesn't make a difference. It shouldn't make a difference. You know, it's just me here talking and with my, you know, new camera and doing videos. I got some great coverage I'm going to be getting shortly. I'll talk about that in another video because that's going to be a little lengthy. I have to revisit some parks I went to, and I was taking it on this shitty fucking camera here on my phone. And but I have some specific areas where I will show you that there's absolutely no curvature at all, and there should be. You know, that's the thing. Another thing that really bothers me is if we did live on a globe, what would it actually look like? You know, you couldn't see vast hundreds of miles straight. You know, that video that I did, the double video that I did, yeah, that's right, I figured out how to edit. Uh-oh, watch out, guys. I figured out how to edit it. Anyway, so, you know, you look at these clouds, you shouldn't be able to see all of that. I love it when they're all on the same cloud level, you know, and they're little patchy clouds like that. And you can see the bottom half that's kind of dark, and then it just goes on, and that gives you kind of like an eye level, it gives you a line of sight, basically, you know, where you have like a grid, but now you have the clouds, and you can see that you could just see everything goes on for miles and miles and miles. The perspective of your eyes can actually see this. You know, in some areas you can't, but when you're, you know, when you're on flat ground, which is not hard to find, and you have a good perspective of this, and you're on a mountain or whatever it may be, and you just see you see the grid lines. I mean, it's amazing. You know, I mean, you see that reference right there where it just goes on until the sky, you know, ends. But it wouldn't do that on a globe. You wouldn't be able to see mountains. You know, I mean, I can see the Catskill Mountains from I-84. Okay, the Catskill Mountains are 200 miles away. You know, from there. That's how far away they are. All right. And you can see them clear as day. I don't care if they're 1,000 feet high. Okay. You know, say the curvature of the Earth, it should be 3,000. There should be a 3,000 foot curve. You shouldn't be able to see anything. You should only be able to see, you know, it doesn't even make any sense how it would actually look on a globe. You know, because all you're used to seeing is, and all that everybody's used to seeing is flat land. They don't understand that they don't live on a globe. They live on flat land. So your perspective is trying to make this curve up that doesn't exist. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I mean, you know, imagine it. I mean, let's not even discuss about the traveling through space and all that. I mean, this is almost like going back to basics. Okay. I mean, that's really what it is. That sun behind me right there, no, it's not 93 million miles away. It was originally, I think they said it was 63 million miles away. Now it's not. We'll just up it up a little bit. And maybe in 10 years, they'll say it's 125 million miles away or whatever. And no one's going to know the difference. They can say anything. Anything at all, they can say. And they can have fun. They can throw a couple of little special things on Jupiter. And I'm sorry, did NASA just launch something at a comet? That's right, they did. Did you see the picture? It's nice, isn't it? I love it. It's a nice cartoon character. I mean, come on, man. Well, okay, well then how would they actually get a picture of it? I don't know, maybe the Hubble telescope? Oh, but the Hubble telescope's down. Don't forget, guys, it's on standby, safe mode. They put the Hubble telescope on safe mode. Expect a spacewalk very shortly. Let's get out our editing tools and make sure that they're actually really in space, or how... They're not, but I can't wait for that video to come out, because at some point they're going to have to go up there and fix it. Remember when they cleaned the mirrors or something and somebody fucked up with that? And so we're going to have a nice spacewalk coming up. The Hubble telescope is now in safe mode. I don't know if they've rebooted it. I find that very difficult to believe, considering it's, you know, whatever, 200, 300 miles up there, and they're pressing a button down here, and it's revolving around the Earth. And isn't there, you know, remember, you have to have line of sight when you do this. So you can't just press a button. If it's all the way on the other side of the globe, I don't think a button's going to work, unless if it's bouncing off one of the satellites, and then it's making some sort of connection to the Hubble telescope. But those are other people's satellites, right? Those are Facebook's, Twitter's, you know, maybe... I mean, don't you see the stupidity of all of this? I mean, look at all the people that have all this fucking money. This is the life we chose, you know? I mean, this is it. It really is comical how 90% of the people around here are just fucking asleep, and they're still wearing a diaper, and when they don't have to anymore, and that's fine. You know, I mean, that should be something that you should definitely consider, you know, because it is healthy for you, especially when, you know, you're jogging. I really believe that should be something that, you know, you really should reconsider. It's just something to think about, you know, and just take a look at your life and find out who you are, you know, and how you actually got here in flat Earth, you know, and what brought you to it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Charlie, how you doing? And what brought you to it. you know, and that's the most important part. And how I'm not talking about videos and stuff like that, because videos don't always do it, you know, with flat Earth. There's something else that clicked in your head. There's something else that brought you to flat Earth. The videos helped, but then something else did it for you. And then track that back. You know what I'm saying? And think about how you got there. And then understand that, look, we don't have choices. And that's why they say life is a stage. Don't you understand? That is why they say life is a stage. How did you meet your wife? What were the circumstances which you met your wife? How did you get married? How did you actually, you know, decide to have kids? You know, or buy that house with that particular color? You know, or get that particular appliance? You know, I mean, all of it has been chosen for you. And if you really think about it, it will make sense to you. And that's why we live in a digital world. All right? And I want you to think about that and just review. I thank you for subbing. I thank you for viewing my channel. Let me be part of your life. That's great. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. CC here, Chris, from New York, Westchester County. However, this morning I'm in Babylon County. Can you fucking believe this? I mean, you know, the one fucking beach day, and I get this shit. It's great. I have high hopes it's gonna lift by you know, early morning or early afternoon. That's what I'm hoping. But you know, I really wanted just to discuss a couple things with you while I'm walking back to my car, because I forgot the potato chips. And it's quite a long walk from this beach, but I don't care. It's a beach day. You can't spoil a beach day. You know, the Coriolis effect is a funny thing, because all of us don't really know where it begins and where it ends. Because if somebody was to jump out of a plane, well, let's say, I don't know, right at the bleeding part of space and parachute all the way back down. Oh, yes, I am referring to the Red Bull jump. And land only 40 miles from where he launched off of. See, now that doesn't make any sense to us. See, us flat earthers stand up in the classroom and say, what the fuck? There should be a 2-hour descent back down from up there. A revolution of the earth should be a couple of thousand miles. So he shouldn't be 40 miles away from where he launched off of. He should be in the middle. Well, not quite to China, but at least somewhere in the middle of the ocean when he landed. But no, he's not. You know, these are things that we question. So, how exactly does the Coriolis effect work? Huh? How does it work? Nobody can tell us. Nobody will give us straight answers. Because we're questioning science. Because the science that we've been taught when we were kids just doesn't make any sense. You know? All right. I'll prepare something later when this fog lifts up. Maybe we can capture some videos here, hopefully. People are doing yoga here on the beach. They come here early in the morning. We're here early in the morning because I like to come to the beach and beat the traffic. Because the Long Island traffic sucks.
The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is the highest-ranking member of the American military, who just not only defended indoctrinating our troops with critical race theory, which is just a code word for Marxist anti-white racism, but went on to blame the protest at the Capitol on January 6th that did get out of hand on white people.
He's talking today about why it is so important to understand the, and I quote here, white rage behind what happened on January 6th, and why members of the military should study theories like critical race theory.
And it is important that we train and we understand, and I want to understand white rage, and I'm white, and I want to understand it. So what is it that caused thousands of people to assault this building and try to overturn the Constitution of the United States of America? What caused that? I want to find that out.
I'm sorry, sir, but the broken window at the Capitol that day and the ensuing trespassing had nothing to do with race whatsoever. There is another group, however, which did riot, burn, and loot buildings across the entire country in dozens of cities last summer, causing $1 billion worth of damage that did, in the name of George Floyd. Maybe you should look into trying to stop that from happening again. Meanwhile, at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, they just had their first drag queen show, which they said was to boost morale and increase diversity. And according to MSNBC, anybody who criticizes this drag queen-loving chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is a terrorist.
The culture war led by members of the GOP has now fully bled into the military. Our troops, our military leaders, our Secretary of Defense are under political attack, not by ISIS or by Al-Qaeda, but by radical, extremist, anti-American elected officials, pundits on TV, and other blowhards that are putting themselves and their personal political agenda ahead of our military and ahead of our national security and ahead of our country.
Since the Democrats failed to get enough votes to form a 9/11-style January 6th commission to complain about the protest at the Capitol for the next 3.5 years, Nancy Pelosi announced that they're going to form a House Select Committee instead.
To do the investigation of the causes of this. There are two actual paths. One is about the root causes of it, the white supremacy, the anti-Semitism, the Islamophobia. The other is the security of the Capitol and what it means to be ready for such an insurrection.
Another day, another Democrat hallucinating and imagining racism where there is none. And since the Marxists are making stunning progress in their attempts to overthrow our great republic, you've seen the woke CIA and U.S. Army commercials. Well, now NASA has gone woke as well.
At NASA, we're on a mission of equity, launching opportunity.
Equal opportunity to challenge and inspire.
To learn and thrive.
To reach those we've never reached before.
To use science, data, and technology to advance equity.
To use science, data, and technology to advance equity. They say, not equality, notice. They don't want equality. Equity is the new buzzword. It's a code word meaning less rights and resources for white people. If their new diversity mission recruitment ad wasn't cringe enough, here's a recent live stream from NASA detailing the kinds of people that they're looking to bring aboard.
My name's Melanie Saunders. I'm the Deputy Associate Administrator for the agency, and my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
My name is Charles Cockrell. My pronouns are he, him, and his.
My name is Sarah Phillips. I am an employee at Glenn Research Center. My pronouns are as varied as the rainbow. I typically go by she, her, but I also go by they, them.
I have a feeling that the Challenger space shuttle disaster is going to seem like a minor malfunction compared to the idiocy that we're going to be seeing coming out of the space program in the coming years. In other news, there's been a dramatic increase in violent crime in the United States over the last year, mostly because the George Soros-appointed district attorneys continue to drop charges against the violent and dangerous criminals who keep getting arrested and putting them back out onto the streets. But we're living in Orwellian times when telling the truth is a revolutionary act, and that's why big tech and government bureaucrats continue to try to censor the truth.
Well, questions are mounting over BART's refusal to release surveillance video showing recent robberies on their trains. Now we've taken a look at an internal memo explaining their decision.
Turns out recorded video from these cameras of the recent rash of teen mob robberies won't be released to the public. But that's led some elected officials like BART board director Deborah Allen to question, doesn't the public have a right to see the video? Here's the response she got from BART Assistant General Manager Carrie Hamill.
To release these videos would create a high level of racially insensitive commentary.
KPIF Scott obtained a memo from Hamill to board members where she explains BART won't put out a press release on a most recent theft because it was a, quote, petty crime, and talking about it would make BART look crime-ridden. And also it would unfairly affect and characterize riders of color, leading to sweeping generalizations in media reports.
By the way, BART stands for Bay Area Rapid Transit. It's just the train system up there in San Francisco. And I think you know the reason why the officials don't want to release the footage of the actual crimes because, well, if Barack Obama had a son. And the Associated Press just announced that they're no longer going to be publishing the names or the mugshots of suspects who are arrested for what they say are minor crimes. Minor crimes meaning anything less serious than murder. Intelligent people don't have to ask why. Of course, people kept sharing articles through social media showing all of those suspects arrested for attacking Asian people in New York, and, well, those facts hurt certain people's feelings. But when a white woman, like that poor woman in Central Park who was playing with her dog who she had taken off the leash, which technically is against the rules, was startled by a black man who came out of the bushes, who was birdwatching, and made some rather unusual and uncomfortable and what could easily be interpreted as threatening comments to her, and she called the police, they named her and where she worked, and she was branded the Central Park Karen, and the bird watcher admitted that he told her that if she didn't put her dog on the leash, that he was going to do something that she didn't like. And so she called 911, said somebody was threatening her, and then she was smeared as a racist and then fired from her job. Thankfully, she is suing her employer for wrongful termination. And BET, Black Entertainment Television, just produced a new made-for-TV movie called Karen, about a nice black family that moves into a new neighborhood, and one of their neighbors is a single white woman who is a total psycho and terrorizes them because they're black.
I guess this is a long way from East Point.
Baby, you just gotta give it a chance.
Tell me about your new neighbors.
They're black. Do you mind keeping it down? If you don't comply, I'll tell the manager.
Hi, I am Karen Drexler. I'm your neighbor. You need to be taking your trash cans off the curb right when the trash is picked up. Bad things happen to people that don't comply.
By the way, it is a real movie. It's not a Saturday Night Live skit. But if they really wanted to make a movie that truly was scary, they would depict a white family moving to the south side of Chicago. There was some good news this week, however. The Supreme Court ruled that a public school could not punish a student who had posted on Snapchat about the school and the cheer team, including a bunch of F-bombs, and then she was suspended from the cheer team, and so she sued. And the Supreme Court ruled that the school could not punish her for off-campus speech unless it had a severe disrupting effect on the school, which sounding off about the cheer team after she didn't get promoted from JV to the regular team obviously didn't qualify. To celebrate this First Amendment victory, the ACLU started selling a new t-shirt saying basically the same thing that she said. F school, F softball, F cheer, F everything. Which they're selling for a whopping $40. As you know, I sell some t-shirts of my own. Of course, mine are better, and not to mention half the price. So get yourself a warning, contains facts and opinions, some may find offensive shirt, an I Love Global Warming shirt, or any of my awesome designs, all available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check them out. It turns out that there is a silver lining to the dark cloud that's been hanging over America's schools for the last year, which forced students to stay at home and engage in virtual learning, which is a literal waste of time and stunting their academic and emotional growth. That is, parents got to actually listen into the lessons and got to hear what it is that some of these teachers were indoctrinating their children with. Many parents are understandably upset about the systemic anti-white racism that's being spread through the form of critical race theory and Black Lives Matter propaganda, not to mention people's new problems with pronouns. Parents like the ones who showed up to this school board meeting in Virginia last night. It's not just the parents who are fed up with this foolishness. Many of the kids sense that there's something wrong with the teachers who constantly complain about America and white people, and many of them also have a very good grasp of what it is that's actually happening, like this high school freshman.
Hi, my name is Brad Taylor, and I just finished my freshman year at RHS. I've been a part of District 196 schools now for 10 years, and I'm going to give you a glimpse today of what's actually going on inside these schools. Despite the board's attempt to deny it, District 196 schools are quickly becoming a place where promoting activism is actually more important than promoting education. I'll take you back to my first day at RHS this fall. The principal came out and gave us a heartfelt speech about equality and standing together. He began to list countless races, such as Latino, Asian, expressing how much they matter and how important they are. But never once did he mention a race or identity that reflects me, or half the kids that were in the class. To be clear, I don't need you to tell me that I matter. But hearing the condolences given to other races and leaving just one race out, it inevitably you'll start to feel like you've done something wrong. And in our principal's attempt to unify us, he instead created unwarranted boundaries and barriers between his students, pitting us against each other based on characteristics that we can't control. In another separate instance, I was told that writing "All Lives Matter" on the whiteboard was political and could be seen as offensive. When I questioned the teacher after class, she told me that she didn't have an answer and she just had to erase it, and it was quickly erased. There are political signs all over RHS, about specific races that matter, specific sexual orientations that matter, and specific perspectives that matter. But when I questioned the RHS administration about how these signs were political, they told me that they were supporting human rights. So when I questioned why the equity statement couldn't represent all students, they told me that to even ask that question was outlandish and offensive. And when I asked why that was, they told me, quote, "Whites have a pretty good situation right now," unquote. So is that not racism? Disregarding my question merely because of the color of my skin. I've been approached by multiple teachers who have told me in private that they just want to say that they agree with me and they support me standing up, but they can't say it in front of the class for fear of being disciplined by the administration in some way or losing their jobs. Now, due to all these instances I've mentioned and many more that I can't fit in this 5-minute speech, I've decided to leave this district and continue school on a private Christian school online. And there will be sacrifices, and I will not get to walk in the graduation ceremony or attend milestones at RHS, but I will be able to learn in an environment that is not intent on punishing me daily for my skin color and political views. Now, regardless of how you take my speech, whether you just shrug it off as malarkey or Fox News talking points, I encourage you to think about it, because someday I'm going to be a leader. I may be the president, a governor, or just a professional golfer, but I will never stop believing that everybody has value, no matter their skin color or personal beliefs, and it's a shame that you're not going to be able to say that I was an alumni of RHS in District 196. Thank you.
Well, it gets even better. Here's a 9-year-old girl telling off her school board in Minnesota.
The other day I was walking down the hallway at Lakeview Elementary School to give a teacher a retiring gift. I looked up onto the wall and saw a BLM poster and an Amanda Gorman poster. In case you don't know who that chick is, she's some girl who did a poem at Biden's so-called inauguration. I was so mad. I was told 2 weeks ago at this very meeting spot, no politics in school. I believed what you said at this meeting. So at lunch I went up to my principal to tell him about the BLM poster and that I wanted it down. It is a political message about getting rid of police officers, rioting, burning buildings down while King Governor Welch just sits on his throne and watches. We all know. I am 9 years old and I know that. Get the posters out of our schools. Courage is contagious, so be courageous.
I'm pretty sure that girl's gonna grow up to be a senator someday, and possibly after that, the president of the United States. And when that time comes, she's gonna have a lot of work to do because the Democrats are probably gonna completely destroy America by then. We are well on our way to bankruptcy, as you know, and now with old Joe making Juneteenth another federal holiday, that makes 44 paid days off for federal employees every year. They literally get a month and a half of paid vacation days every single year. But the Marxists who love growing the government and living off of the government will never be happy. For example, an IKEA location in Atlanta, Georgia is under fire for having a special menu to commemorate Juneteenth because it included fried chicken and watermelon. Of course, every culture is associated historically with certain food. Tacos and burritos are Mexican food. Pizza and pasta is Italian. Sushi is Japanese. But I guess now food is racist. It's been like this for the last few years, as you know, since the liberal pathogen caused a pandemic. Like when New York University students put together a special menu at the school for Black History Month, which included barbecue ribs, cornbread, and watermelon, and that was denounced as racist, even though it was put together by black students. Questlove, who I think is the band leader at The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, took a picture of the menu at NBC Studios and did what all lunatics do, posted it on Twitter and complained about it. Imagine if Mexican people got upset because restaurants served tacos on Cinco de Mayo, or Irish getting upset because bars have a special happy hour on St. Patrick's Day. Thankfully, there is some sanity left in society, however, like this weather girl, I guess former weather girl now, who worked for CBS 62 out of Detroit.
Today we saw temperatures above normal again, topping out at 85 degrees at Metro Airport. Plenty of sunshine today, but all good things must come to an end, and that starts as early as tomorrow morning with showers moving in around 8 a.m. And speaking of a brand new week, I will be sitting down this week with Project Veritas to discuss the discrimination that CBS is enforcing upon its employees. Tune in to Project Veritas for my full story. Now, later Monday, we will see those showers continuing through late morning, but by evening, we'll see dry conditions and more comfortable temperatures as well.
Her whole interview is up on the Project Veritas YouTube channel, by the way, which just reached 1 million subscribers. So congratulations to James O'Keefe and the whole Project Veritas team. Thankfully, there are many millions and millions of Americans who are immune to the liberal pathogen, but unfortunately, it has swept across the country and around the world faster than the coronavirus. If you want to help warn others and support my channel, get yourself a Beware of Democrats shirt from my online store at markdice.com. Like all of my designs, it's available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and a whole bunch of different colors as well. So head on over to markdice.com or click the link in the description below and check it out.
Oh, he got my hat. Well, at least it's not 110 degrees. Look at all these little mosquitoes. Yeah, this house needs me. Someone, please, just take them. Pour a little bit of this boy and this boy. Gotcha. Pranked you. What's up, all you epic Minecraft imposter Among Us, Fortnite, RuneScape, Club Penguin, Toontowns, Habbo Hotel, and James Chungus Simpster? Got a very exciting video for you guys today. I am going to be going to Waco to finish setting up the fence holes. We are going to be letting these guys out to free range for quite a little bit, except for the babers. This is our new little baby Karen. Isn't she perfect and adorable? I do need to clean this whole thing. I also need to get the wheelbarrow and bring all these guys outside, and these guys also have to throw away all these boxes from the fan mail. Attention, ladies in the Central Texas area of the Christian faith. I am 24. I am single, and I can carry a 40-pound bag of feed over a fence. Evan, hey. Big boy, big boy, big boy. Who's my little big boy? Who's my little big boy? Okay, let me just open up this gate, sir. I'll let you in. Well, then we can play together. All right, here we go. Oh, don't step on that. Don't trip on it. Hey, Kevin. You're not any better at all, are you? We like to have a little fun here. We like to have a little wrestling fun. Oh, gotcha. Oh, it's been a little while since I had a little dance with Kevin. Look at these feet. Look at these beautiful, beautiful feet. What a handsome, beautiful boy. What a handsome, beautiful boy. Might just have to jump on his back. Who's my handsome boy? Oh, we got my hat. All right, now let's get the rest of these chores done. Get that crap out of here. I love how he's still playing with the hat over there. Okay, guys, this is how we get the chores done here. We'll go ahead and grab Karen and Kevin's feed bucket. This little guy right here. Hello, Kevin. Gotcha. Pranked you. Oh, goodbye. Okay, Kevin broke his way in. I'm gonna get on this back, yours, boy. See, guys, he doesn't learn. But one thing that does tend to work, is a noodle. The noodle always works. A noodle. So we just take this, pour this in here. Okay. I'm sure he's not going to chase after me. Whoa, was that hit rapper and artist, babe? Sir, let me sniff that forehead of yours. Wow, Kevin, that was quite the little bleeder you gave me. Quite the little raspberry there. And now I'm just going to go.
What is going on? This video is brought to you by The Authoritative Store. Get the cool merch in the description section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Y'all know what to do. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, everybody's been posting about this incident that happened in Chicago. Another unfortunate happening with inner city violence. And I call it inner city violence, although it may not necessarily be pertaining to specifically black people in and of itself, because I think the people who were victimized were not black. It appears that the suspect was black, possibly, who knows? You know, he could have been a dark-skinned Hispanic guy, who knows? However, the violence within this type of environment is out of control. It is absolutely out of control. And all they want to do is talk about the police. The police is the problem. Police problem. They got memorials. They got defund the police campaigns. They marching for police, but they're not marching for stuff like this. They're not marching for stuff like this. If you guys haven't seen this, I'm not going to play the whole thing. It cuts clips, because if you watch the full video, it is horrifying. Now, me as a former police officer, I've seen stuff way worse than this, but as a common citizen, this is horrifying to the average person. But let's walk through this, because there's a lot of dynamics here and people don't really know what happened. And I want to give an analysis, because I don't know what happened. All I do know is that two people were shot, and it appeared to be completely unjustifiably over an argument. Now, police, according to the police statements, there was a car crash that occurred right before this. I don't know who was at fault, but when the car crashed, a mob of people came up to this black SUV, and what it looks like is that they were pulling the occupants of the SUV out. This dude in the white shirt, who looked black, his pants is sagging, but he could be Hispanic too. I mean, who knows, unless you was physically sitting there. What we do know is that we have 1 and 2 people who have video footage, and that's just 2 that we can see right here, who have video footage of this incident, the suspect and everybody else involved. They got video footage. No footage has surfaced, no suspect description have been given, and nobody has been detained. This is all too often what happens in the hood, where you can get shot and nobody will know about it and nobody will care about it. But it does look like this vehicle was kind of knocked off to the side. There was an accident that occurred, according to police. Now, let's watch the video as it transpires. This guy ended up being the shooter. You'll see at the very end, but it's not, YouTube is not playing the actual situation. It's screenshots of parts of the situation, excluding the person getting shot. So let's roll the film. Shout out to the Right Wing Angel. The dude has amazing content. If you're not following him on the gram, I don't know what you're doing. Let's play the video. So you can see initially everybody was just getting into a scuffle. This guy shows up in a white shirt. He shows up, all of a sudden everybody's ducking as if a shot was fired. If you ask me, after looking at the first video, this guy shot the first shot. He came up in the situation, he lifted his arm up, boom. You never see him actually pull a gun out, so it looked like he already had it out. It looked like he shot it from underneath. Of course, the sympathetic reflex of a shot being fired without ear protection is going to make you jump. So then you see that some shot had went off. This young lady was originally holding on to the truck. She falls. Somewhere around here, her boyfriend is somewhere around here. And it appears that the guy stepped over to the side. As you can see, those two individuals there. Then you see him pull a gun out. Boyfriend is here. Girl is here. Obviously, he fired multiple shots that struck the boyfriend and possibly one hit the girl. She was admitted to the hospital. She got shot in the neck. This guy got shot multiple times. He did not make it. This guy runs off into the night, and nobody ever knows where he went. All right, he come running this way. Everybody start running. Now, with that information that you have, let's have a discussion about this. This appeared to be incredibly senseless. I know from being a cop and growing up in some of these areas that there are people out here who are completely heartless. They don't have a heart. They don't care about you. They know that people are not going to snitch. So they can run up on you, serve you what appeared they thought was in a crowd of people. They start busting, they run off. Everybody's afraid to say anything. This type of violence go on all the time, every day, all too often. And I can show you, just to give you a glimpse of why this is, to a certain degree, very controversial and confusing. And my wife was showing me this the other day, is that the young man who got shot, he don't appear to be super gangbangy. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't appear that he's a hardcore gangbanger. Now, he does look a little thuggy with his pants sagging and stuff like that. However, for the most part, he looked like he kind of dabbling, right? Like he kind of want to dress hip hop, but he ain't really hip hop. He obviously got firearms that it looked like that is neatly stacked in his closet. Looked like he enjoying his children. He posting about his guns. He looked like a safe gun owner. He's at the range, got his kids. He looked reasonable. But that does not mean that he's not in the gang life. That does not mean that he ain't out here thugging and doing the most. But it does not appear that he is in a consistent state of thuggery. And that's why people are very sad, because obviously he had children. But he posted his firearms. You know, as long as they're reasonably within context, it doesn't appear.
No discussion about mainstream media manipulation or fake news would be complete without a full understanding of Operation Mockingbird, which
I want to say this right off the bat because I don't want nobody starting no rumors. I love the Hodge twins. I love the conservative twins, whatever y'all want to call them. They're my boys. I disagree with them on this one. And I'm going to go through methodically on the video that they made about an officer, which I think that they were incorrect. But everybody's entitled to their own opinions. And that's why I didn't feel the need to call them on the phone, tell them to take the video down or nothing, because I feel like they're entitled to their own opinion about what happened to Officer Diggs. So let's get to this real quick. So these are my dogs, man. I like these dudes. They cool. But I gotta correct them on this. When it comes to policing in America, I gotta correct it. All right. So y'all tune in, get your popcorn. Like I said, I'm not gonna be, a butthole to these guys because I like them. However, we need to talk about a few things that I think would be invaluable to have context to. All right. So I'm gonna let a few of y'all get in before I start it. I need to pull up this thing because I had a particular law that I wanted to make sure I pulled up while I was live. All right. Okay. Yeah. I think I could look right here and see it. Let's get the twins back up here. All right. All right, y'all in? Y'all ready? Y'all ready to go? Okay, so without me running my mouth too much, let's roll it. So I'm gonna go point by point, and as they make statements that I think are inaccurate related to this particular incident in policing, I'll make a comment on it and I'll stop it periodically. So let's go for it. Roll the film.
A cop just can't go up to anybody and just stop him and frisk him.
Yeah.
It's unconstitutional.
Right.
So I'm gonna read to you the actual law in the state of California.
Yeah.
Okay. So this particular area of this, I know y'all seen the video that I made about this, and y'all seen their video about this. Officer Diggs with this black kid at the trolley stop, use of force, officer got fired. This guy's a complete SJW. The Hodges twins brought up stop and frisk. Now, this incident had nothing to do with stop and frisk. It just had nothing to do with stop and frisk. This particular police officer and others were on a detail to saturate the area and go through and contact people at this particular location. Their job is to go up and make contact with people, whether there's people that are obviously committing crimes or doing something nefarious, or they're just making what we call consensual contacts, meaning that you have the right to walk up to anybody at any time and spark a conversation with them. And if they say they don't want to talk to you, they're free to walk away if they don't want to talk to you. However, if through a consensual contact you find that this person or whatever is involved in something nefarious, you have to take action. So I'm gonna let them play it. They're gonna talk about the Terry frisk, which is not relevant to this particular situation.
All right, it's called California Stop and Frisk Law. The law of stop and frisk, also known as Terry stops in California, consists of two basic rules.
From Terry stops.
Okay.
Anyway, here, another thing I need to read to y'all. This cop actually arrested a guy for assaulting a police officer. So I need to read to you what the law is in California when it comes to assault.
Yeah.
Loitering is when you sitting around somewhere.
Okay, assaulting a police officer. It breaks up into different categories. So assaulting a police officer, the Hodges twins in this video, they talked about assault. They used the penal code. I don't know if they know the penal code, but they looked it up. 240, the penal code, which is generic assault, which is assault on another person. Well, assault on a police officer is incredibly different than assault on a random person or a person that's not in the context of dealing with a peace officer. So the officer ultimately arrested this gentleman for assault on a police officer. And I'll tell you why. I'm gonna let them play some other context that they said, and I'll speak on that.
Where in a public area, and you ain't got no purpose for being there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like if I go into 7-Eleven and I buy me some Twinkies and a Dr. Pepper, and I come outside and I'm waiting on the ride, I have a reason to be there. I was in that shopping, and I'm just waiting on the ride to pick me up.
Yeah, it's not considered loitering.
Yeah.
There's also in a lot of jurisdictions, there's some time constraints. You can't be deemed loitering if you've been out there 30 seconds or a couple minutes. It's not deemed loitering. Shut up. Let me do some talking. If you have an intended purpose of being somewhere, it's not considered loitering.
Yeah.
I cannot say that word. Loitering.
So with this situation, they're saying that the gentleman was loitering. I think it'll be easier if I play their words in the background, maybe, or pull up the clip, because if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, you're completely confused. So they mentioned the word that the gentleman was loitering, and loitering is not applicable in this particular situation because the gentleman was at this stop. The officer initially believed he was smoking cigarettes, which made him walk up and contact him. He had no evidence that he was smoking cigarettes. The guy denied it. But then, while communicating with him, he did not have a trolley fare. So when you don't have a trolley fare, you're in violation of the code associated with having a trolley fare at this location. And once you do that, you're now detained and you're not free to leave. So let me go to another thing, because I really want to talk about the things that the Hodge twins said, because they have a big social media platform, and because they put the video out and they were completely wrong about a lot of stuff that needs to be corrected. So it's easier if I play the video and not just play their video of them talking, because I feel like that even watching this, if you don't know the context, you're going to be lost. So let me go to the video that I made a couple days ago about the officer in this particular situation. So I'm gonna let it play the commercial, and then we're gonna go to this. And I'm just gonna address points, right? It doesn't matter if the Hodges twins say it or not. I'm just gonna address a few points. Okay. Officer Diggs had a lawful reason to contact this young gentleman at this trolley stop, right? And I'm gonna show y'all just real quick, and you can see on my video, so you guys can see kind of the context of what I'm talking about. It's this situation right here, right? I'll turn the volume down because I was able to play some of the clips so you guys can see. This officer had every right. That's funny, I got two heads. This officer had every right to contact him. They're doing a saturation patrol. He sees the guy, what appeared to be smoking.
Good morning, Moon. You are at WK. Just want to say thank you for the comment in the last video. I appreciate that. And, nice to meet Michael. I'll probably try and find out a bit more about him soon. And if anyone wants to email me, it's trinityforman@gmail.com. I thought I'd do this as a live quickly. It's just going to be short and sweet. But that last video took almost 30 hours to upload, and it was 20 minutes long. Came to this lovely place here for a few days. What a great view, don't you think? Into this valley. This is how we should all be able to live, like this amount of space between our neighbors. It's fantastic. There was a purpose to this video. I just wanted, why I called it stage 3 or level 3 incoming. Just snippets of news make their way to you, and at the moment it feels to me very much like the news is saying that despite a year or more of strange behaviors and by corporations and followers, people, a year of strangeness, we still seem to have sudden, sporadic, and mysteriously, unknown origin outbreaks in places, which means that none of the stuff that they've done has worked. So if you were a reasonable government official, you would have to conclude that you needed to go further, And as Boris often says, we really don't want to do this. We're so trying our very best, but the last thing we want to do is to damage the economy and the psychology and the whole of the human story. But these are trying times, and people are falling prey to terrible, terrible illness. Everybody must know somebody by now. I mean, if you've got 300 friends and one or two of them in that network have fallen prey to this illness by now, you must surely realize that crushing the economy, killing the spirits of our young children, well, it's really worth it. But unfortunately, we haven't gone far enough. With heavy heart, we have decided we're going to have to go further. But we know you're with us. We know that you people understand the severity of the situation. You must have seen it on your television night after night. That's what we've been paying the BBC to do. Night after night of propaganda of all the horror stories. People who have fallen ill in this last year, people do fall ill, and some have fallen ill in rather mysterious ways. So, I'm not looking to be disrespectful of anyone who's had illness of any sort. But surely you're not buying the theatre coming in from the hand-waving politicians who are graspingly seeking to protect you, which is all that government is there for, isn't it? I mean, don't say that they create the enemy that they have to protect you from. It is just the nature of humanity that we create enemies for ourselves. Then, when we've finished creating enough misery and support and help in your life, we'll get rid of the guys who did that, and then you'll forget. And you'll be cheerful that a new Matt Hancock can be delivered to the people and some young lady. Well, I think that might also be theatre. But, I'm not wanting to be a conspiracy theorist. I mean, this country, in South Africa, nobody is a conspiracy theorist, but everyone knows that the government has stolen billions of rand from the people. It's not a conspiracy. No, it's just, and we'll root them out. And then we'll get rid of the Matt Hancocks and we'll start again with a new. Let's not use German names, that might be a little bit offensive. Anyway, I'm just wanting to put people on, make people aware that, that I think the screws must surely be about to be tightened yet further, because unfortunately, all the levels and the distancing and the covering of the breathing, all of that seems to have no effect. Even the jabination that everybody so happily seems to be wanting to do, because they're not fearful. They're just going, protecting everybody else. It's not their fear, it's just doing the right thing for the community. It's not communist community, it's right that everybody should take drugs given by the government to protect their neighbor. Not my fear, no. But fear not. This is, I think, very hard for most people in so many different ways, whatever their level of perception is on the drama being played out. I think it may last a few years. I think it's going to get tighter. And people are going to get angrier. See, the London protests are massive now. Much respect and kudos to those people. I'm showing you my bald side. This hair loss thing has continued, I think, for a while. Yeah. No stress here. But I think we've all been, whatever journey we're on, we've all been put under certain duress, or we're just being, what's the word, massaged into such acquiescence that it's almost like, well, it's not your life anymore, as much as you like to think it is. It's you are simply a cog in this machine that has become rapacious. And the fear in people here is so complete that I don't meet anyone that says, oh yeah, actually I met a guy yesterday who's like, no, I don't buy into it. But in the main, the majority are just okay. As I said, the other thing, Stockholm syndrome. It's all right. When's the next beating, and how long will it take to get over it? Not, hey man, we should be doing something different. Humanity should be finding a different way. Some people say that it's this painful journey that we must go on in order to find our truth, come around through the cycle. So I'm not looking to not looking to bash the government because, just like the policemen on the Durban beachfront, they're just doing kind of their job, and whatever their feelings are on any of it, you're not really allowed too much. Having worked in government myself, I know you're not really allowed too much latitude in terms of how you want to conduct things. It is, orders are passed down from on high, and you follow them if your job means anything to you. And perhaps career prospects if you're young and you're trying to get ahead. I even saw a sort of paid security service. They have their paid security services that walk around on the beach in addition to the regular police. And these guys are carrying truncheons and radios and high-vis clothing. And I'm talking to one of these homeless guys, and he comes along truncheon, like pointed out, like going to stab the guy in the rib. I'm like, hey, wait, we're just talking to this guy, Oh no, he shouldn't be here. He's caused problems for people and so on. This is this is an African man, a Zulu African man who, in his culture would not have done something like that. I don't think of it like that. But people are people, and it's not about color or culture so much as the soup in which you are having to swim. So that's all. I guess I was feeling a bit buoyed up from having gone down to the beach a couple of days ago, and I had all these guys, like a bunch of guys, half a dozen, individually come up to me and say, I just want to say thanks for what you did last week and stuff, And it, it motivated this other guy to actually come down the beach and also do some stuff like that, And perhaps in other places, others will be motivated by that little action. So that felt good. But, the situation is difficult. And of course, nothing I say or can afford to do for the mass of them, maybe, you can't really change that situation for them, not anytime soon. That's why our reality is being painted for us, and we are believers in the status quo. The disempowered. We take orders from authority of man because they need to think for us. We can't. And it's never the individual. Oh, it's not me. I know. I'm fine about it. Everything. But out there are problems. And the truth is that, like the puppies in the cage analogy. You create the hunger amongst the puppies, then you set them free from their township, which is what a lot of people, those puppies grew up in around here. You set them free from their township, and they're going to go out into the neighborhood and cause problems. So you are going to pay for private security to protect you from that. It's a kind of self-perpetuating cycle. I don't want to talk too long. I just wanted to do this live because, as I said, the last video that 20-minute video took more than a day, and the place we stayed at offers Wi-Fi. That's another story. Anyway, I'll quickly say hello, Ricardo. You never miss it. Hey, Mark and Melvin, I've been meaning to contact you, bro. Because I'm here in South Africa, and we did speak to those South Africans before. And that was like an avenue I felt like I hadn't taken. Here in South Africa, I have such an interesting rapport with people. I find it somewhat easier to connect to people here than in Europe, certainly, but in England, even. When I'm talking in the streets of folk, it's just. And I mean, I'm generalizing because I know there's plenty of you. And if you saw my live stream the other day, a guy on the beachfront, a guy gave me the bird for suggesting that he didn't live on a spinning globe. And actually, that chalk I was told is still there. There's been no rain in Durban, and I, placed it where it wouldn't be walked on so easily. And the cleaning people here, or someone, like that one I showed outside the police station, it's still there. It's still there, and I found some more good chalk yesterday in the shop. So hopefully you'll get some chalk, or rather, the city will get some chalk. But I think people are walking past that almost like in hypnosis. So you've seen those hypnotists do that thing on stage where they can get people to really believe they're looking at something different than what they're seeing. And I think that might be true in the world, is that there is a hypnosis that goes on. Is it through the flicker rate of the TV? Is it through the repetition of phraseology, imagery? And they live. You see how it's suggested that even the banner boards and so on, we see one thing, but they're actually hiding a message behind them to be obedient, to be a consumer, etc., etc. So anyway, I'm just saying, like, I really love being here. Miss my children very much, and I miss my UK network a lot, I have to say. And Andrea, like, could we bounce between the two places, or is the I think of the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he goes to Mars. Imagine if you could. He goes to Mars, but to go, it's Total Recall. But to go through the gates, there's a huge amount of security. It's a huge amount of issue to go through from one place to another. And perhaps our Earth is becoming like that, where these camps are going to be as remote almost as these fabled rocks that float in the sky. So yeah, we do concern ourselves a little bit about that, and obviously, going back to the UK at the moment is like a 10 days inside a locked room with guards, etc. It's all beyond bizarre. Nice to see you, Mark. I hope you're well. And I heard, I don't know, is Australia about to go? This is what actually made me say this today, is because Andrea said, Aussie's going back down into, or Aussie's got like an outbreak or something, or they're super locked down. I don't know. Maybe you can tell me what the media are lying about there. I'm freezing cold, so sorry I'm shaking. Hey, Zoom. Hey, Space. How are you? Have you been out? Have you been out there? Done any activism? Do people, But I tell you, this is, I mean, there are people who are willing to hear. The thing is, you have a conversation with someone, and then half an hour later, they sort of, as you've pushed away the hypnosis briefly, and they can see out. Then, of course, the rest of the world and the tide of everything sort of falls back over them. And I go back to going along to, and I think a lot of people are doing it just out of, I mean this, they're doing it out of like, well, everyone else is doing it, so I better do it, And I kind of feel like that a little bit, sometimes I feel a little bit kind of, I'm walking around the shop with it under my chin, and more people were like, hey, listen, I think there's no, I don't think we're actually, this is not making any sense, and I think I'm affecting my health. If people were a little more brave about that, then there'd be less of this compliance going on. Anyway. Hi, Brenda. How are you? And thank you for your kind offer. How's that Bundy group going, Zoom? Yeah. Got kicked out of it. They didn't like saying "cut my friend." Dave, you know what? I think this is an interesting. We are at an interesting impasse, Dave, and I think that Andrea was talking. Andrea was talking to Is that me? My name was being called. Andrea was talking to a policeman on the beachfront too, in a van that pulled up. I just walked off with Alexander to find something, and actually the policeman said to Andrea, said, "Oh, where's your child?" So they certainly, Alexander is recognizable. He sticks out, and African people love his hair. And so that's interesting. But this young lad we were talking to, Yusuf. I've got a video of him. I'll load it up at some point when I got better bandwidth. But this young guy Yusuf, and he knew one of the cops, and it was Andrew said, this guy Yusuf, he wants to be a policeman. And the policeman said, I don't know why, because it's like this is a difficult job, man. And there are policemen who will crack you over the head, no thoughts about it, and there are policemen who will know that inside themselves that they went into this job to kind of help old ladies across the street, and maybe prevent someone getting mugged or whatever, legitimate kind of social kind of stuff, But a lot of stuff that the coppers are involved in now is mostly and the extension of they are the dogs of this war. And I'm not calling them dogs. I believe that the royals and so on, that's what they call the police, is that those are their dogs. And of course, if you are, the king and the queen of the land, and you need tax collectors and you need people to go out and enforce your edicts, then they are your dogs, essentially. They're doing your bidding, and they are your servants directly. They swear an oath to serve the queen or something. And all of them in every country, it's all the same. And then, of course, once you're in the club, having been in the army, once you're in the club, everyone's kind of going along with it. There's 30 of you, and even if you're feeling a little unsure, you don't know who else is feeling unsure, and you're all kind of just in there doing the war. And this is what these guys have been propagandized into. Do you think that movies like Judge Dredd and RoboCop and so on were just made for your entertainment? They were predictive programming, get us to think about that possibility, so that when they start to march it out, we will essentially help them create it. But also, that the policemen themselves, watch those movies and go, yeah, that's who I would like to be. Or when I think about policing, that's what I imagine, the clean police would look like. We can dispense justice and, make sure there's no litter and move the vagrants on and all that sort of stuff. I remember getting pulled once And there was an older cop and a younger cop, and the younger cop was like, I felt after the encounter, it was like, oh, that guy was chomping at the bit to kind of have a go at me, to kind of take me down on some charge, whereas the other guy was, more lenient, don't do that again, kind of thing. So, I think what I'm trying to say to you, Dave, is that actually, I feel like the best way to some of them might be psychotic or through this, we are only ever going to be at war with ourselves. And something that I have to think about a lot recently is how much of the war that I've brought back into my own heart, because I've been, fighting with anger, that I'm having to kind of navigate through all the bloody, constraints of travel and, trying to, you go to shops and, so, having to try and navigate that. There's a few places that I can go to where I can kind of nip in the back kind of thing, and I don't have to bother with the mask. Because, again, once you're at a table or whatever, when you say, oh, you're going to have the mask on, it's a COVID-free zone, don't you know? So I'm saying, I think I'm, here, I find with some of the policemen I've had encounters with here, it's like if you approach them well, they love you. I haven't had one tell me to cover up my face. The only people that have done that have been private security in shopping malls and at the doors to pretty much every shop. Went to Vodacom yesterday to get some data, and they insisted on to buy some data, which is going to be like a plastic transaction. I'm going to tell you this number. You got to put more sanitizer on your hand. They would refuse to serve us. Andrea took one for the team. The guy kindly just put a little spot on her hand, which you could wipe off. But they're being watched as well. Oh, if I don't do this, my job's at risk, And they're about to take us into deeper levels because they can't control Delta. Echo must be on its way. Mysteriously it just appears, doesn't it? It just like, oh, now it appeared in this place, and although you can't find anyone who can say, oh, that's what it was. Look, it was different to that one because it manifested like this. I mean, we know that they haven't been able to isolate this from, as far as the research I've done, they haven't been able to isolate any of this. It's all hypothesis and theorem, germ theorem, more theology for the believing masses. And I don't mean that unkindly. I think that I know that I've been there. I may still be believing things that I needn't or shouldn't, but I believe that more control is coming. I think that it's a few years in the making. And what of humanity comes out of the other end of that is anyone's guess. Always seeking for a purpose. How can I help? What can I do that is going to make a difference in this world? And this is a part of that, obviously, talking. And actually also getting out in the street like we see. But I sometimes think, what am I going to achieve? I'm going to help a few guys with a bit of food. Maybe, I know it helps to have a sense of who and what you are, but I think until we're doing something different as a humanity, this is going to be like tiny little outposts of the few trying to navigate, the faceless masses, and they are literally becoming faceless. We are literally becoming faceless. And here in South Africa, they insist on 5-year-old over 5s to do all of that too. And yesterday I saw this boy, man. It was like the Captain America thing here on his face. I've seen others, happily promoting products and so on. But here, Captain America, a big badge and glasses on and so on. And it's like, yeah, we're losing it. We're losing our way. It's devastating to see, but we keep going on. Hey, thanks for that, Brenda, and thanks for your support. I'll keep it short. I think I've gone on long enough. I've had some thumbs up. Thank you for that. 12 new cases in Sydney. 2-week full lockdown. Good Lord. And Sydney must be 4 million people. Is it 3 million, something like that? Yeah. How important the shape of the earth, or that the infrastructure, the systems here have been able to engineer such massive deception. It's so important to know that, because it underscores the lengths to which we have been programmed to believe something, or to see something, or create something that is so far from what I think the Creator, the Most High, intended.
Louder with Crowder is brought to you in part by .com. You'll look better, but more importantly, you'll feel better. Unless you have COVID, then you'll probably die. .com.
That is refreshing.
Yeah.
That's today I have a little lime seltzer water in there. I already had my coffee.
Really?
And it's just it's almost a little effervescent.
Oh,
just like you.
You know what's really nice? Carbonated milk.
What? I make it myself.
Yeah.
Isn't there like an eclair or something like that?
I have no idea. Hey, we have a lot to get to today.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. So one thing that people have been talking about quite a bit, how divisive Trump was.
Yeah.
I've heard divisive, but I don't like it. I'll just say
it's interchangeable.
Biden is far worse, and I'll lay out the case as to why. We'll also be talking about the president of the Philippines and butt vaccines.
Yeah.
Butt vaccines.
Along with the American flag today and its history, because Macy Gray apparently needed some press, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Gerald,
She stumbled.
I tried to hide it. Boy, that Green Goblin missed an opportunity. I'll get you, Macy Gray.
Could have saved us all.
Willem Dafoe it's like if Christopher Walken were one of those dinosaurs that you get in a cereal box and you add water, and it's like if you didn't add the water.
Just shriveled up.
He's a Christopher Walken who's been put in a meat dehydrator.
Yeah, it's like if you hit Steve Buscemi with a hammer a bunch of times.
Christopher Walken
like after he healed.
Yeah, and then like sun dried him like a raisin.
Yeah.
All right.
Why aren't they brothers in more movies?
Well, that's how he got started. He was one of the California raisins. All right. G. Morgan Jr. Gerald, how are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good.
I'm doing pretty well. How are
Why?
you? Well, you know what? I'm clearing up the nasal thing.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, which is nice. I'm still coughing up, blood, but baby steps. Quarter Black, how are you?
I'm offended that you said Christopher Walken and not
he didn't.
Willem Dafoe.
I said
both. Green Goblin.
I said Willem Dafoe was a Green Goblin.
Yeah. But then you went to Christopher Walken.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with it. Neither one of them are your people. Be more tribal.
You missed the point.
Well, there's a pretty good DJ. What is it? Slim video? I forget.
That's true.
Oh yeah,
That's true. Fat Boy Slim.
Fat Boy Slim.
Fat Boy Slim. Spice
got the moves.
directed it.
All right, Dave Landau's here, and you have a show coming up.
Yeah, I do. I got a couple. Oh, look at how I'm hungry, and I still look terrible, but I'm starving. I missed breakfast.
Hey, you beautiful.
I'm sorry. I gotta get off track by hurting myself.
Yeah, we all
this weekend you can see me in Buffalo, New York. I also have dates in Des Moines, Iowa, and Columbus, Ohio coming up. And in Minnesota, I guess.
Hey, Buffalo might have the first socialist mayor.
Is that true?
Yeah, that's true. It's true. Happening right now. And she looks about exact picture in your mind's eye right now, okay? What a socialist mayor looks like?
Yeah.
Correct.
Really? That unappealing.
Yes, that unappealing. So here, before we get to anything else, what they're talking about in CNN, they're talking about how it's a violation of human rights to require identification for voting.
Dang it.
In the United States, we're trying to entice people with donuts, with lotteries to get the vaccine because, freedom. And in the Philippines, though, their president, Rodrigo Duterte, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I don't care because it's largely an irrelevant country. Manny Pacquiao and stick fighting. What else you got?
Hey, stick fighting's cool.
He has taken a different tack, and I hate it because it's fascist and it's an abuse of rights, but I love it because we host an entertainment program.
Mamili kayo. Magpabakuna kayo o ipakulong ko kayo sa silda.
Wow.
Sabi ko sa inyo, yung silda dyan sa mga pulis.
He says, I'm telling you, those police jails are filthy, foul-smelling, and police are lazy and cleaning.
Lahat na ng baho nandoon.
He's honest.
That is where you'll be.
Magpabakuna ka. Otherwise, I will
Here you
order
go.
all the barangay captains to have a tally of the people.
He says you will get vaccinated. Otherwise, I will order a tally of people who have not been vaccinated. I will not inject them with ivermectin, which is intended for pigs.
If not, I will.
There is a national emergency. Kung ayaw mo magpabakuna, ipa-aresto kita. At ang bakuna galing.
I'll have you arrested, sent to prison, and I'll inject the vaccine in your butt. I love how the president of the Philippines is just immediately admitting the corruption and the low standards of their. Here we complain about the prison industrial complex. We're like, they're staying there too long. He's like, in our prisons, our guards don't do work. They don't show up. There's rape. It's very unclean. So it's really punishment.
Very terrible. We have no standards.
We have no standards at all. I mean, really.
CNN's coverage of this was like, well, that's one way to get the job done and make sure people get vaccinated. Like,
it's gotta be nice to hear a cell door just closed behind you and a big guy standing there like, yeah, I'm vaccine.
Yeah, I'm vaccine. You be butt.
I think you should get down on your knees.
This seems unfair.
I'll start with you. So, by the way, you can go to crowdershop.com if you want to support this show. Look, Free Speech Matters shirts. And the best way to tune in is it's a live show Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Our final show before the break, before I go to get my... chest fillet open for surgery early July is going to be tomorrow. But we will have, I think, like 5 episodes of pre-taped content, documentaries, and Change My Mind's going up.
And you're seeing Dr. Nick Riviera?
Yes.
Okay.
What's the last day going to be?
It's going to be Thursday, tomorrow, and that's going to be California for Cultural Appropriation Month, because it absolutely should not be a part of the United States.
I thought it broke off and sank into the ocean.
No, I just, where is Yukon Cornelius when you need him?
I watched 2012.
Just axe pick him off and, queers! Nothing.
It's burning, but surrounded by water that won't put it out.
Can you just leave me Napa? I'll take that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You can take Napa and Folsom Street Fair. Yeah.
No.
It's a package deal. You want to be the world's most powerful genie? Everything that comes with it. You get the Folsom Street Fair.
Yeah, you're also going to have to fight a lot of soccer moms for that property.
A lot of novelty T-shirts. It's wine o'clock. I ate fruit for dinner. I drank a glass of wine. Don't talk to me until I've had my 2 glasses of wine.
It's wine o'clock.
And finally, my favorite, just a shirt for Zoloft.
I'm questioning my life decisions.
So this morning on CNN, this is something I wanted. A lot of people get this wrong when they talk about like cancel culture, and they're trying to change this to accountability culture.
Yeah.
Here's what the term cancel culture, I've talked about this. It's not just when someone says something that turns their audience off. For a perfect example of that, there could be no cancel culture with comedians. In other words, with someone like a Louis C.K., someone like a Bill Burr. It doesn't matter because the audience comes to see them. Cancel culture is when you have people in disproportional positions of power who try to force someone out of the limelight because they hold an opinion that isn't even necessarily congruent with the rest of the public. That's the thing. That's what cancel culture is. It's not accountability when the people at CNN, MSNBC are the ones trying to get someone canceled, and they happen to be effective, or YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. So
Tubin.
They were talking about just I think his it's Jeffrey one hand clapping Tubin. So this morning
perfected it.
What's that? That's our most esteemed commentator.
He analyzes situations.
Listen, cut his feed. Cut it.
He analyzes situations, but can't analyze what to do during a phone call.
Yeah. It's a Zoom call.
I'm sorry. Same.
So this morning on CNN, they were talking about Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's the guy who created Hamilton.
Yeah.
And In the Heights, I guess, is this new film adapted. I don't know if it's adapted from a play. So what happened is there was some outrage. And I think this is silly that there weren't enough Afro-Dominicans, is that the term? Black Dominican Americans in this neighborhood. And they're talking about the guy who, by the way, like a Brian Stelter, I was sure was gay until I found out. Like show tunes, you hear him speak.
True.
No, he's just who he be.
Totally
a lot of people
straight.
think Lin-Manuel Miranda is not what he be, but it do.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, in response to the people who were outraged of him not having enough Black Dominicans in the Heights, and this is a serious discussion that took place on America's most trusted news.
They say that free speech is on the line. You're not allowed to say anything, but that's not actually what's happening.
Sure.
People are able to speak their mind and say what they believe. The question is, how is the marketplace going to respond?
Exactly.
How is your audience going to respond? So in the specific case of In the Heights, where people are saying, well, what more do you want, right? You made the founding fathers Black, and now people are still giving you a hard time. The neighborhood that the Heights is about, which is about half a mile from where I live in Harlem, is majority Afro-Dominican. So imagine making a movie about Greenwich, Connecticut with no white actors. People would say, make that make sense.
Or making a play of the founding fathers with no white actors. He did. He made a play with the founding fathers Black, and then not enough Black people in a Dominican neighborhood. It'd be like having a play that should be about white people historically with no white people. Cell phone much?
Oh yeah. Also, I'd love to hear the phone call. Yeah, I have a hot script, Hollywood. It's all white people in Connecticut.
Yes.
Hello.
Exactly. Sounds very interesting.
No, there's no lesbian couple adopting a child. Hello. I'll have to call you back.
They keep hanging up.
Have you seen Bridgerton?
Liz Hyper on line 12.
Yeah, Bridgerton has a Black queen. Beauty and the Beast has Black people in positions of power at a time when that didn't happen in England.
And by the way, I don't really care. I mean, I think the rapping is pretty crappy. Yeah. But then again, when they're they're standard bearers, Tekashi 6ix9ine, I don't think this generation knows a whole lot about hip hop. That being said,
Bars low.
I don't know. It sounds like an old man. That's not music. No, it's not. Not only is it not music, it's a buttersoft bitch who snitched and got out of prison due to his asthma and COVID.
That's rule number one, man.
Back in our day, you did your time, and Suge Knight dangled you from a third-story balcony. Okay.
Right. Yep.
Better cash those Ninja Turtles 2 royalty checks. We know how it worked. It's not a world I respect. It's not a generation I respect. You can comment if it irritates you.
And if you don't like that side, go over to Bad Boys Records. Get yourself Life After Death.
Go on.
There you go.
Fine.
Or Death Row. So this is funny to me that you didn't understand. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, I couldn't believe this. I watched this live. I'm so glad we added this to the show this morning because I watched
You were watching it live? I was watching it live?
Yes.
It's like Kevin McAllister and his mom looking at the Christmas tree.
Yeah, pretty much. Except
with hate.
Yeah. So both of us hate this, and Essie Cup's like, oh, of course. Yeah, that's
like
totally
the
strong.
Challenger.
Like, okay, fine. Here, prove my point for me. One of you say something controversial. Go.
One of you, yeah.
Not one of you is going to say anything remotely controversial. And it's not just, you made a great point, it's gatekeepers.
Yeah.
It's people saying you can't say this, not an audience, not advertisers. It's also disproportionate on your opinion. You can say horrific things if you're a Democrat. Really terrible things about Republicans.
Well, hold on. This isn't that terrible, but I'm going to show you the next. This is, again, where we're talking about appeasing or trying to apologize to the mob. Now, I've always said your words don't define you. Your actions define you. And generally speaking, your words, the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, is a reflection of your character, as are your actions. They should be relatively in line with each other. However, we see this on CNN. And S.E. Cupp was sort of like the white Anna Navarro, you know, was like, she's like, I was a Republican on what? Nothing.
Nothing ever.
But take my word, I have credibility. I don't like Donald Trump, and I was a Republican. Really? What did you? I don't know. So anyway, she's the white equivalent, where she just claims she was a Republican, dines on that for years. And they actually show you that it doesn't matter what you do. If you've said naughty words, but they'll forgive violent, felonious actions. Yeah. If you're of the right political persuasion or skin color. This next clip, I'll tell you, Mel Gibson, Michael Vick, blew my mind, but not really.
So the question is, who is your audience, and are you smart enough to know and figure that out?
So who's Mel Gibson's audience?
Well, who's
everyone? Braveheart,
I'm
bitch.
certainly not.
No, me neither.
So there's a question about when have people done enough to redeem themselves? And I think that's a very real question, is when is somebody worthy of forgiveness? You take someone, for example, like Michael Vick, did something terrible, was convicted, paid the cost for that, served his time, and then came out and did a tremendous amount of work in supporting animal rights. And when you speak to people in those communities, they say, no, we feel like this was genuine. He really was very remorseful for what he did.
Okay. So here's the deal. Mel Gibson said bad words while drunk.
Yeah.
No one's saying he didn't say bad things while drunk. Most hilarious voicemails ever recorded.
Very funny.
He called the cop sugar tits who was a guy.
How is that not hysterical? But I understand Holocaust denial bad. I get it. I'm not absolving of that. However, bad words while drunk, they are saying is more impermissible than a man who drowned and electrocuted dogs alive.
Wow.
Come on.
Think about that for a second. Oh, why do you think Michael Vick can be forgiven? And they try to pull the who watches Mel Gibson? Like everyone, okay? Yeah. He has done some of the biggest films of all time. It doesn't mean I even love them all.
Right.
But he is a monumentally successful filmmaker. You guys wanted him out. He's not. You guys, for some reason, allowed Michael Vick to be back in the good graces. I don't know if you agree with this. What do you think is worse? Anti-Semitic tirades when calling drunkenly your gold-digging girlfriend and offering her one more chance, mind you, or
one more chance,
or drowning, electrocuting, strangling dogs alive who want nothing more than to be loyal to you.
And, and by the way, Michael Vick didn't walk up to the police station and say, officers, you know, like he didn't come in and say, I am doing this, please forgive me. He said, oh crap, I got caught. Now I need to do something to rehab my image. Now he may be genuine now.
Court-ordered redemption,
exactly. So that it makes a difference. You didn't turn yourself in.
Right.
You actually got caught and we're like, oh crap, I'm really sorry. Yeah, you're sorry you got caught.
Look, I think redemption is redemption. As horrible as that is, you're allowed to change your life.
Right.
I really do think that. I think, and same with Mel Gibson. I also think, I don't know what work, though, has Michael Vick been doing with all these animal...
He threw some spray paint on people coming out of TJ Maxx and fur coats.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, he volunteered at a kill shelter.
Yes. That point, like, I'm going to do it anyway. Might as well get paid.
Yeah. I got the experiment. Come on, man.
Oh, man.
Community service.
No, you're totally right, Dave. Like, you can be redeemed. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that this is the pattern for the left. It's somebody who gets caught. Like Jimmy Kimmel didn't go in and say, guys, look, I've been doing blackface for a long time and I'm really sorry about it. Somebody put the video back out there and he's like, oh crap, I have to respond to this. That is a different situation. You can totally respond and say, I'm sorry, and mean it. I definitely believe that.
Yeah.
But it's not like these people went out there and did it on their own accord saying, gosh, I just think
it's very clear that the left will forgive violent action.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Do you think if a white male conservative was burning dogs alive, electrocuting dogs alive, sorry, I don't want to be hyperbolic. Do you think that they would be forgiven?
Maybe cats.
Jeez, terrible.
I'm kidding. I love animals. I like animals more than people.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if you really want to who I'm mad at, I still enjoy a good Mel Gibson movie.
In other words, they would sooner forgive the man who kills his dog than the one who names his dog Himmler.
What? Mel Gibson?
And you shouldn't do either. To be clear.
It's
so stupid.
I learned that with Little Mr. Gubbles. I learned my lesson.
Mel Gibson is insane, though, and that's why I enjoy him.
Yes.
That's simple.
Everyone knows that rant where he's like, you are awful. You have no soul. You have no soul. But then he tries to to save face because he's drunk and crazy, and he goes, but I will give you one more chance. Like, you're not negotiating. That's like Biden with Putin. You're a killer, but, you know, we could go get ourselves a slice.
Yeah, look
at that diner I went to.
She promised hot tub festivities and didn't live up to it, and the man got mad.
The man
he
deserves it. He deserves it.
It's like, what do you want him to do? He came home as Mel Gibson.
Right.
Come on.
So this is another story. IKEA is now under fire for creating. This is one that, look, I don't think it's that bad, but they should have seen this coming. For creating an African-American themed menu to honor Juneteenth. And this was sent out to some workers in Atlanta from IKEA.
Oh, in Atlanta?
To honor the or at least the Atlanta employees were meant to honor the perseverance of Black Americans and acknowledge the progress yet to be made. We observe Juneteenth on Saturday, June 19th, 20. And then it says, look at our special menu on Saturday, which will include fried chicken, watermelon, mac and cheese, potato salad, collard greens, candied yams, and white hoods. So the black employees were outraged, calling it racist and demeaning, which, look, I think
hilarious.
It's tone deaf. Yeah. That being said, IKEA did apologize, and for the remainder of Pride Month, they'll continue serving their regularly scheduled fare. So, yeah, they're going to, it's just Swedish meatballs. Yep. It's just the Swedish chef demanding you lick in my version. Lick in my version. Don't just eat in the cake, lick the frosting in the changing.
Slurpy.
Just stick to cinnamon rolls, guys. Come on.
In fairness, that menu looks delicious.
It does actually look really
I'm going to give you the Britain vaccine.
Look, you can point me to some racist food, and I'm going to go, I don't know how it's racist because I love it.
But it looks delicious.
Exactly.
That's what I had on Sunday, Father's Day.
Oh, I love it.
Fried chicken. Me too. We had watermelon. It's in season. Now, if in the middle of February you're seeking out some watermelon, nothing like perpetuating the original stereotype, but you do you.
You got a problem.
I love February melon.
Yes.
Oh. I don't even know what that means.
So Clarence, by the way, happy birthday right now. This is something else before we get to the different policies of Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Again, I will argue that Joe Biden has divided America more than any president in record time. And I understand, I'm not saying that Donald Trump was not divisive, but for two very different reasons. But right now, I do want to honor someone, obviously, who deserves it, Clarence Thomas.
Oh,
Sir Justice Clarence Thomas.
Very nice.
Here is by the way, for people who don't know, he's the guy who made that guy, Andrew Breitbart, a conservative. Andrew Breitbart tuned in to try and watch this guy get read the riot act and watch and then he said, they are lynching this guy. You can go and read his book. The trial of Clarence Thomas, specifically Biden's treatment of him, is what led to Andrew Breitbart becoming a conservative. But I believe we have, this is a classic, a clip of Clarence Thomas obliterating former Vice President Joe Biden.
This is a case in which this sleaze, this dirt, was searched for by staffers of members of this committee, was then leaked to the media, and this committee and this body validated it and displayed it at prime time over our entire nation. This is a circus. It's a national disgrace. And from my standpoint, as a Black American, as far as I'm concerned, it is a high-tech lynching for uppity blacks who in any way deign to think for themselves.
Quote, we already have a nigger mayor, and we don't need any more nigger big shots.
Nigger here, neck. Now, I just wanted to show you the timeline because it's not like he learned from it.
Just a side-by-side.
Why are you so quiet today, Dave?
I'm just hungry, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, you're talking about watermelon, fried chicken.
You don't need to push it that hard. You're a grown man. We'll get you something. And I understand he was quoting someone else saying the N-word. I think he said the N-word something like 16 times in the Senate. Yeah. Quite a few.
What is he, Ethan Clark?
But again, just playing by their own rules, they should be canceled.
Yes, and well, honestly, why I was being so quiet during that is I don't remember that speech that he gave.
Right, Clarence Thomas.
That was during the confirmation hearing, yeah.
I remember it happening now, but I was just kind of taken back by it for a minute because I forgot how completely cruel that was.
Yes, yeah, it absolutely was.
But it just shows you how times have changed. If he said anything close to that, I mean, not accidentally like he did in the clip that we have him here, then you would see, like, canceled immediately, right? Yeah. I think Papa John's guy, I think he was quoting somebody. There was another guy who said it as well. He was quoting somebody else and
he was saying that it was bad.
And yeah, exactly. He was like, hey, this is a bad thing. Don't say this word. And says the word.
Remove.
I hate when people that
ask me if I've ever quoted anybody saying the N-word.
Of course. Have you ever
have you seen some of the guests we've had on the show?
Well,
I like
where I have had to address the things that they've said 20, 30, 40 times.
Right.
I just don't like, though, when you see somebody in a position of power like that, where they're reading the N-word because they feel good, like they want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what you see. I find that so disgusting when it's like, oh, boy, I'm going to say it today. You know, and
hey,
guys,
time.
feel it, you know?
Did someone get my highlighter?
Yeah.
You know what? Make it. I want it to be the pink, blue, and yellow one. I really want to make this just a party on my page.
Yeah. You feel that, though, when somebody is doing that deliberately.
Right, yeah.
Being able to say, because he could have easily said N-word.
He's trying to get a rise out of it.
Absolutely.
And people don't remember the witch hunt that it was. They tried to bring out every negative stereotype of Clarence Thomas. That, oh, he went to this porn shop, which turned out wasn't even a porn shop where he could have been when he lived, I believe, in D.C. at that time. Yeah. They brought out these. The worst thing that Clarence Thomas did, just to be clear, for people out there who don't know, just like some people are familiar with Macy Gray, find out with Gen Z, is he said, hey, who put whose pubic hair is on this Diet Coke can?
Yeah.
That just makes me want to party with Clarence.
Yes, it's hilarious.
You tell me, do you want to go to a kegger with Clarence Thomas or Sonia Sotomayor?
That's a good thing.
Well, Thomas. She probably would be offended about it. She started an investigation as to who short and curly was on her Zima.
Well, and here we are 30 years later. That would be about as scandalous as a parking ticket.
Right. You would think so.
Yeah.
But no. All right. I want to move on to this really quickly. This is something, we've heard this a lot, right? America is more divided than ever before.
Yeah.
Because of Joe Biden. And by the way, you're out there, you can hit the notification bell because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot. So just hit that ding. It's a live show Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern. I think that it is so woefully misguided, and I understand that it's by design with the media. Look, far be it from me to argue that Donald Trump. Do you have your restless legs syndrome? Can you stop shaking your foot?
Why?
Is it because you're hungry? Because it's like you'd be lifting up your knee and showing me your mild to moderate to severe plaque psoriasis.
Fine.
He keeps shaking his leg. I feel like he's morsing someone a bomb coat.
Sitting spread eagle.
You asked for it. Honestly, I am more comfortable. What does that say about me?
Wait a minute, I like it a lot.
So they've tried to argue that Donald Trump is the most divisive president ever.
Yeah.
And I would say Joe Biden is more divisive, but for two very, very different reasons. Donald Trump was divisive. Here's the reason why. And this is just my opinion, and then I'll try and substantiate it. All the links are available at loudeskyder.com. Every single president before, I should say, certainly every single Democratic president before Donald Trump. You can go back to the Bush years and remember how they treated him, but at that point, they still had some semblance of attempting to appear objective. But of course, we know that they weren't. We had 8 years of Barack Obama, where it was nothing but fawning over the president. And of course, at this point, new media started to emerge. Legacy media tried to silence new media. We saw that happening, right? We thought, hey, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, there are no more gatekeepers. And then these huge corporations spent tons of money to silence voices like yours truly, many of you out there. Donald Trump was divisive because he was pointing out what we all knew for a long time, but too many people were afraid to say, including Republicans, that the media was dishonest and that the left were liars, that they were biased, that they were not well-intentioned, and that they were lying about it.
Yeah.
So Donald Trump created a divide in pointing that out. Joe Biden is divisive precisely because he's one of those liars.
Exactly.
And I don't think Joe Biden would be as divisive today had it not been pointed out. In other words, if we went from Barack Obama to Joe Biden, a lot of Americans, right? How many, honest question, comment below. I used to talk about this when the show was syndicated on radio before Donald Trump was ever president. And I said, there are a lot of people out there who think that CNN is my God objective journalism. And they believed it until Donald Trump. That's why we don't go after MSNBC, because at least they're honest about where they stand. CNN was exposed. ABC, NBC, CBS, New York Times, institutions. And the left thinks that's a bad thing, that people have lost their trust in American institutions. Do you mean WAPO? Then sure. Do you mean Snopes? Absolutely. Do you mean Brian Stelter? Okay. Now Biden tries to come back and act as though this is business as usual, and there are a lot of people going, wait, he's palming it. So Donald Trump divisive because he pointed out the lie. Joe Biden is divisive because now he's a part of the lie, and no one believes the lie anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when you have Trump coming in, he basically understood a principle. You don't sacrifice the truth for unity. Doesn't mean you always get everything right, but unity was not his goal. Doing what was right in most of these situations with his policies and what he would say about the media, that was more important than unifying people. You had to point out the hypocrisy.
Right. Yeah. Now, really quickly, let me point out, just to kind of prove my point here, I want you to see how the media treated Donald Trump versus Joe Biden. I know you hear people complaining about it a lot, but I actually want you to believe your lion eyes and lion ears. Here's some of the greatest hits from the objective journalists as it relates to Donald Trump.
Since you're attacking us, can you give us a question? Mr. President-elect. Mr. President-elect, since you are attacking our news organization, can you give us a chance? You are attacking our news organization. Can you give us a chance to ask a question, sir? Sir, can you state, Mr. President-elect, can you say categorically, Mr. President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
You are attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Go ahead.
CNN's fake news. I don't take questions. I don't take questions from CNN. CNN is
fake news. I don't take questions from CNN.
But I'm having a good time. Tomorrow they will say, Donald Trump rants and raves at the press. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm just telling you. You're dishonest people. Should I let him have a little bit more? What do you think, Peter? Peter, should I let him have a little bit more? Sit down. Sit down. Look,
that was his friend, man.
I just told him I got to come over and see the fake news.
I missed the guy.
Yeah.
I just told him I got to come over and see the fake news. Who do you mean? You and you and you and you and you.
Let's go.
I bet your wife.
Whoa.
I can't even believe what that office has become now.
I know.
Oh.
Now let's compare this to former Vice President Joe Biden and how the press treats him.
Questions, and as usual, folks, they gave me a list of the people I'm going to call on.
That must be nice.
Jonathan, Associated Press.
The perception of you that got you elected as a moral, decent man is the reason why a lot of immigrants are coming to this country.
That's the perception of 100% of America.
Yeah. How do you resolve that tension?
Over the years of your career, you've already spent a great deal of time at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, except now you're living there and you're president. It's been 4 weeks. What's it like?
Ooh, chocolate chip.
Oh, like he just discovered fire. Which, by the way, is also how Joe Biden would react if he saw fire. What do you have a flint and a rock? Huh? What's that? What's that device that creates the magical heat? It's a Zippo. Oh, what are we doing?
That ice cream cone also laid him out for the next 72 hours.
Exactly.
I gotta do to take a nap.
Oh my god.
This is turned back into liquid because it's a solid now. It turns into I got the self-lubricating pocket catheter.
Well, I thought this was bad with Barack Obama, right? The media gave him a huge pass, right? Didn't do a whole lot of digging when he was running for president. Didn't do a whole lot when he started to, do his policies and do things that we thought were bad. It's gotten worse under Joe Biden.
Well, it's gotten worse because at least Barack Obama had charisma, right?
Yeah. I mean, he had charisma.
He had charisma, but now they have to make up for that also.
Yeah.
So in other words, with Barack Obama, they would be able to ask him a question, I don't know, about policy, and he could shuck and jive, which, by the way, people should know out there. They tried to accuse Sarah Palin of being racist, and then recently I saw a black commentator saying that Candace Owens was chucking and jiving. And I said, no, Chuck, it's shuck and jive. People were like, oh, that's a gotcha. No, it's a term from slavery. And if you're talking about being a Black Lives Matter activist and supporting critical race theory, you should know what shuck and jive means. It comes from being elusive to the slave masters, usually during corn husking season, and then became common nomenclature in boxing. Like he's pulling the shuck and jive. He's being evasive. Anyways, they would ask Barack Obama a question. He would shuck and jive, not answer, and they'd go, thank you very much, and move on.
Right.
With Joe Biden, because he doesn't have any charm, they have to say, first, before I ask you a question, it's very clear that you are the president near and dear to everyone's heart. Everyone loves you, and you're super, super cool. Now, do you like stuff?
Do you remember where you are?
And this wouldn't be so bad if Donald Trump didn't rip off the Band-Aid, if Donald Trump didn't turn the light on. So, do we blame the man who turned the light on? Or do we blame the man who is now shooting the lights back out, or attempting to? And this is something, too, objectively, this is happening around the globe. In my home country of Canada, with Prime Minister Blackface. And then even I think we have a clip right from Australia. Sky News, and I used to appear on Sky News when we were talking about debates. Not friendly. Here's them talking about former Vice President Joe Biden at the G7 summit. This is across the globe where their toilets flush the other way.
Listen to how CNN is reporting this momentous event.
Joe Biden is stepping onto the world stage for the first time as president, and equal to foreign leaders.
Now, let's go back in time to 2018 and see if those same newsrooms offer the presidency of Donald Trump such light and positive coverage.
Dramatic and deepening G7 divide, better put perhaps as G6.
Just push him off a ledge.
They're trying to give the illusion that he doesn't have any disputes with any of these international leaders. What do you think of that?
I just think Joe Biden is a lucky person. He has got all the media on his side, or most of the media on his side, particularly CNN, completely at odds with what they did to Trump. So, his popularity surely can only win from this because he's getting so much positive PR through the journalists who are massive fans of him. It's really quite appalling to watch. And what happened to straight news reporting, which doesn't seem to be existent there?
Well, straight news reporting went out of style along with all straight news reporters.
Straight white news reporting. Gone forever.
Now CNN, it's all gay all the time. And the times it's not gay, it's still kind of gay.
A little bit.
The times it's not gay, it's
right. They say.
I've never seen Sky News. That is smug.
He's right. It is smug. One time when I was on Sky News, the guy I was talking about, why do you, this was in the UK though, not Australia. I don't know if it's, I think they have different networks. He goes, well, I certainly hope that you don't have any firearms where you are. I said, yeah, I do. I have one on my hip right now. Now, why in the world would you have some kind of a firearm on your hip right now? I said, because I don't have the armed security that you have in your building right there with firearms. He's like, oh, I don't have any. Really? You're going to tell me that? You don't have any security there at the news building? He meant to say I don't have any in front of me. He goes, well, I hope the safety latch is on. And I said, the hell's that?
And then you did the safety and were like, catch.
No, it was by Skype. Yeah, but it would have been fun. Catch. Hot potato, demasculine. So
don't worry, it's not loaded. Oh wait, it was.
Yeah. I love that Australia can see it. Obviously, these guys in Australia looking at going, hey, but what the hell?
Well, Australia is really concerned about China, and so Australia right now is actually saying, hey guys, is anyone keeping an eye on this, because they really are vulnerable in a lot of ways. They can be exposed. So they haven't been nearly as anti-American as a lot of other nations have. Usually when you meet Australians, they're fun and they're drunks. Now,
great.
This is also important. So we should look at the difference in policies. When people say Donald Trump was divisive, and they mean personality-wise, I guess, because as far as policies, really there wasn't anything all that divisive, and there shouldn't be, by its very nature, in reducing the size of government. In my opinion, when you intrude into people's lives, like, I don't know, say, shutting down a business, or paying people unemployment in perpetuity so that business owners cannot hire them, or lock people at home in place despite skyrocketing suicide, and allow felons back into the street, right, and charge you for trying to protect yourself from felons amid these rights. I would say those are more divisive policies, whereas Donald Trump is like, rolling back taxes and regulations. But I want you to hear it from straight from the horse's mouths, I guess. It's a Mr. Ed montage. I don't know. We ran out of space. The media criticizing the most divisive policies of Donald Trump.
Fundamental decision of when a woman needs to make a decision about when she's having children, how many children she's having, under what circumstances she's having them, that those are fundamentally her decisions. President Trump tries to create red herring arguments that don't exist, and he's lying to the American people.
Anna Navarro, what do you think?
I think I'm really sick of this president and everybody who works around him.
I used to be a Republican.
Immigrants. It seems like everything they utter is about MS-13. It seems that everything they utter is about maligning the dreamers and immigrants that come here.
Now to our world lead today, a top counterterrorism official in the U.S. is now saying that recent anti-Muslim rhetoric is making his job and the work of his colleagues more difficult. Let's bring in CNN's Jim Sciutto. And Jim, this official specifically referenced anti-Muslim remarks by President Trump.
The Trump White House is canceling race-related training sessions at federal agencies.
Yeah.
This memo says it's come to the president's attention that agencies have spent millions of dollars training government workers to believe anti-American propaganda. It came to the president's attention. How? You know how.
No, how about you answer how? How about you answer how? I mean, you should have enough room in that Chrome Dome for a couple of answers, for crying out loud.
Or maybe some proof of how.
I think you know how that happened. Really? How? Racism? I don't know. Let me look at my purse. He has a purse.
He does.
It's a purse.
That's a man bag. Yeah, in the James, we can bring it up for later. In the James O'Keefe video, that's the thing no one was talking about. The man carries a purse. You don't carry a briefcase in the crooks of your elbow.
You know, looking at him, I would assume he did.
Yeah. Well, let me be really clear about, they were just addressing this. They're really divisive policies. Yeah. Donald Trump supported radical measures like heartbeat bills. When a baby has its own heartbeat autonomously from the mother, at that point, it's considered ending a life. He didn't believe that we should be funding abortion overseas, meaning American taxpayers. Look, you may think that you support the right to have an abortion here in the country. You may even think that we should spend some money in we should provide financial aid to nations abroad. I disagree with both of those things. But if we're going to find common ground, can we at least agree that we should not be funding abortions overseas in any capacity? If you can't, then don't tell me it's about the first trimester, second trimester. It's not about that. You think that American taxpayers should be taxed more and we should provide more money to abortions overseas as a method of population control. What else do we have? His racist immigration stance. No. Legal immigrants, by the way. That's what it is. Legal immigrants coming through the Muslim ban, identified first by Barack Obama. Countries of danger. You know who supported it? Syrian Christians. Refugees who were Christians who made up less than 1% of the migrants coming over during that surge, despite the fact that the rest of them were all Islamic, military-aged men. And you see what happened in Europe. What do we have? Banning diversity training, critical race theory in the federal government? Okay, sure. These are the radical policies they're talking about. My point is, there is nothing there. What, reducing our corporate tax rate to just be on par with places like Sweden, Denmark, nations that you guys love and you proclaim as the model of socialist success? That's radical?
Yeah. The only way that this works is if you buy the lie that everything that Donald Trump said was racist. And the only way that works is if you watch the clip that they want you to watch when it's edited the way they want it to be edited.
Right.
That's the only way any of this works. And everybody had to carry the water. And they did.
And we talk about divisive and radical. Let's go through Biden. Biden wants to put our taxes to a level that is unseen in the industrialized world, supports Black Lives Matter, the terrorist organization who on their site demand the destruction of the nuclear family. He said that Antifa is just an idea. He wants to spy on Americans who may be too far right-wing. We did an entire segment on that. That's not hyperbolic, so that they can use the government as a political arm to target you. And of course, not to mention, he supports men who have been men their entire lives and within 1 year beating the shit out of women in sports. And you want to look, Barack Obama, to give you an idea, when we talk about divisive, Barack Obama went into office, he was whisked into office, opposing gay marriage. Donald Trump was the only president ever elected who had supported gay marriage before he went into office. Whether I agree with him or not doesn't matter right now. If you were to go back to Barack Obama, meaning in 2008, 2009, 2010, I don't remember when he changed his mind, it's for political expediency, and if you were to tell Barack Hussein Obama, hey, by the way, you're going to have to make sure that men with penises and testicles can fight women and compete at the Olympics. He'd say, no, come on, you're bringing up a straw man with your bullshit.
The 70s were calling, they want their politics back.
Seriously, you think that anti-gay marriage Barack Obama would have a chip to compute 32-year-old men breaking the orbital bones of women in sports? And we act like Donald Trump is radical. So Donald Trump just says, oh, no, I'm not going, no, men compete with men, women compete with women, right? Simple. Yeah. Biden goes, well, however you want to identify, and women should just get used to it, and we have to redraft up Title IX because it was to protect women's sports, but, and there's, no, this is, when it is determined by what you think you have to do to be woke, it inevitably becomes radical. This is a party that is politically beholden to Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and Kamala Harris, not to mention Navarro, I don't care how many decades ago she was a Republican.
Well, and if they're doing all this crap publicly, saying all this, making these the issues, what do you think they're doing behind your back? They're trying to screw you, get your money. These are all these this nonsense they throw out there to make it seem like they care. That's what it's one of the things I hate about politics.
Yeah, when will it get old, right?
Yeah.
When will it get old when somebody just tells you what you want to hear, but then does something completely different, and you don't have the time to go and look into the matter and see that they did something different? That's what Trump did differently, too. He said, I'm going to do this, and he did it.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you why this is controversial, okay? Especially when, and I don't want to be conspiratorial. The only conspiracy that I hold is whoever's in charge of the photography for John Travolta VHS tapes, because it's always the same picture. I don't think he's ever taken a new headshot, but we'll get to that. That's a whole other segment we're going to do one day. However, you follow the money trail, and you look at these international...
An entire show.
Yeah, an entire program. You look at these international corporations, right, for the same reason that they couldn't discuss China.
Yeah.
For the same reason that they couldn't discuss a lot of these foreign issues because of basically them being beholden to foreign financial actors. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Like the World Health Organization not acknowledging Taiwan. I don't think this is a conspiracy when it happens in plain sight, but I am asking you to extrapolate that and apply it a little bit to places like CNN, to places like, Time Warner, to things like Disney, Universal, right? China is a huge market. Okay. When you look at the policies that were most controversial, what most offends the media when they say Donald Trump is divisive is he committed the cardinal sin of enacting policies that put you, the American, first. And I would even say you, the American woman, first, in that you shouldn't have to compete against men. But let's even talk about this on a more geopolitical level. Okay, Donald Trump, what did he do? Force Canada, European nations to pay their fair share in NATO. What was the original agreement? Was it 2%, 3%? They were paying about 0.4. Sources available at outofcutter.com. I'm going by rote right now. He left the Paris Agreement. He left the World Health Organization. Keep in mind, people saying, I can't believe he did that. This was after the World Health Organization said, no, COVID cannot transmit from human to human. They said that we do not advise the travel bans, and they refused to acknowledge Taiwan as anything.
They hung up on
They acted like Taiwan is this metaphysical concept. Stuff on China, tariffs, brought jobs back. And what do? He forced Mexico to stop migrants from coming over the border by levying a tariff. These were the policies that were considered impermissible and divisive. So just be clear, it's not the media versus Donald Trump, and it's not the left versus right. We know that the entire media, with the exception of maybe Fox News and the exception of a few shows like this, right? Yeah. But the entire mainstream media, ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, they lean left. It's the media versus you. It's the media versus America first, looking out for the American. And this is how you get to the point where no one would have believed that Donald Trump, a guy raised in the lap of luxury, wealthy his entire life, beautiful penthouses, right? You're talking about beautiful private schools, every opportunity handed to him, somehow seemed more relatable to the working man than someone like Joe Biden, who talks about his boxing gym behind Amy's Diner, which never existed. And the reason for it is just because Donald Trump, look, I think he had a heart for the average American. And guess what? The average American was doing better. White, black, red and yellow, black and white there, precious in his sight. If you're more offended at the red and yellow in there, you should think about the precious in his sight. Jesus loves the children of the world. But you can go screw yourself. My point here is this is what happened. He believed that Americans should come first since he was the president of the United States of America, and that was impermissible. And so the media attacked, and then they go, look how divided we are. Do you really think you have a former vice president right now who's putting America first? But they don't question him on any of it. Why? They don't want you to be put first. Because that's not in their financial best interest. You were about to say something there, Dave. I thought. No?
I forgot.
Okay. Well, this is also something really important, and I know you're hungry. This is something really important to Biden, of course, former Vice President Joe Biden. You don't have to take my word for it. You know, LeVar Burton, this shit. He's a laughingstock of the rest of the world at this point. We're not more respected. We all know that.
And the President and President South Africa, as I said earlier. I did not. I certainly did. So, we get a legit voice.
但现在呢，现在我们看到拜登上台了。传统的基因，政治基因。
How are your meetings going in Cornwall, Mr. President? How are your meetings going here in Cornwall?
Yes, I'm going to play cornhole. Yeah, and that's not even, we don't have video, but I think Angela can bring up the picture of Macron putting his finger in the face of President. Look at this. Nice. Look at this. Like a father scolding a child. Wow. Donald Trump would either break that finger off or have somebody else do it afterward.
Excuse me. Get that
finger. It is just, you really think we're more, and this is the point. You can't appease the rest of the world by putting Americans last and expect them to respect you. No nation respects the leader of a nation who doesn't put their own nation first. And what's going on here, Dave?
I'm hungry.
Okay, well, look, if you're that hungry, we have Built Bars here. I told you, just go.
What do you mean we have Built Bars?
Yeah, just go to the office, get yourself one, come back, hit the reset button.
We've had Built Bars the whole time.
We have. Go get
the whole time.
Yes, go get one.
Now.
Yeah, go.
Hey. Oh, hey, Dave.
All right. Well, Built Bar. Hey, by the way, you can go right now to BuiltBar.com. And so much better. Feeling better?
Good.
And we make no claims, by the way.
Did I hurt Manny again?
Dave's an outlier. That's why he was removed from the clinical trial. Go to BuiltBar.com. Crowder15. You get 15% off. Look, people have asked. I'm not a big believer in supplements. Yeah. You don't need to eat protein bars, just to be clear. However, these things taste like actual candy.
They're very good.
So I eat a few of them probably every week just at night so I don't eat dessert because I don't need any more of this. They want me to get down below 230 for the surgery that's coming up.
Are you close?
And I figured I'd get in the sauna in a sauna suit and sweat it out.
Are you gonna cut weight for surgery?
I'm gonna cut weight for surgery.
Oh man!
Gonna get an Epsom salt bath, chewing on a towel filled with ice chips. So I do recommend. Honestly, they are delicious. Someone told me you could put the Built Bars in the freezer too.
Oh really?
And it's like a frozen Snickers. I don't know. The salted caramel just tastes like one of those.
You can also leave them in your car and ruin them.
Yes, that's true.
That happens.
Right.
Super. No, I'd say the coconut.
Are you a coconut guy?
Dude, I am with those.
Yeah, I'm not a big coconut guy. But I know people who love coconut. Love the coconut.
Those are the that's what
those people are freaks. So
people say divisive.
Divisive. I know. People have corrected me on that.
It's very divisive.
It also was in Canada, and they put a line
in an envelope.
Yeah.
An envelope.
Signed, sealed, delivered. By the way, comment on what your opinion here on who was actually more divisive. I want to know objectively if you thought that Donald Trump was more divisive or was Joe Biden. I think, again, Donald Trump called out the liars. Joe Biden is a liar. Not saying that Donald Trump is an angel. Believe me.
No, we definitely understand that. But look, Joe Biden is a useful idiot right now on the world stage. They want him there. There's a reason that Putin said the guy that has killed people, his job in the KGB was to do that. He said, he's a moral man. Do you think he gives a crap about morality? He is a man that he can manipulate. So of course he would want to keep him exactly where he is. Yeah. The world is going to love us as long as we're weak.
Yeah, you can just use him like a wind-up doll.
Yeah.
Look at him. Get former Vice President Biden these symbols and little hat. Huh? What? He's like chimp. He's like chimp.
Yes.
Come on, man. Clank, clank.
Yeah, I think the world also hated Churchill. That turned out well for him.
It's true.
Make him ride unicycle.
Yes.
Again?
He fell off right away.
He's not good at riding unicycle. What do we do with him? Send him to Michael Vick. He'll take care of it.
Oh,
yes. Bed Bath and Beyond, just no bed.
You want Michael Vick to drown him in a? We don't have a pool. No. Just take kiddie pool. Turn him over. He will know how to fix.
They take him to shark jail.
Yes, exactly. By the way, we have a segment here before we leave to Mug Club. The World Health Organization has been watching the show, just so we allegedly.
Yeah,
we talked about something yesterday. Yeah. We pointed out, and within hours it was changed. And we had the same thing not long ago with the children in COVID. But right now, before we get to that, this was #1 trend all over social media here for a little bit of time online, and a lot of people said they didn't know who Macy Gray was, which surprised me.
Oh, so Zoomers.
Yeah, she wrote an op-ed advocating for a new national flag. And I know people say, why do you care? It's not that Macy Gray said this. It's that a bunch of blue verified checkmarks who are journalists on Twitter were saying, why is this a radical idea? Yeah, but you said a 23% corporate tax was radical. So I don't know. I think changing the emblem of our nation should qualify. So she said that we need a new national flag in honor of Juneteenth. I think we have a clip.
Macy Gray believes it's time for a new flag to represent the United States of America. In an essay shared on the stock market news site MarketWatch, Macy shared her thoughts on why she thinks the current flag no longer represents the U.S. and what it should be replaced with. She starts off her message by saying, quote, President Biden, Madam Harris, and members of the Congress. The American flag has been hijacked as code for a specific belief. God bless those believers, they can have it. Like the Confederate, it is tattered, dated, divisive, and incorrect. It no longer represents democracy and freedom. It no longer represents all of us.
No. Okay, first off, this is also the problem with very stupid people and people not calling them out as stupid lest they be feared. Let's say fear the accusation of racism. Right. Let's just say it honestly. She said it is incorrect. Okay, so that's a statement that requires qualification. What is incorrect about the American flag? What is the factual error of the American flag? Are you trying to say
they'd like another star to be DC?
Right, yeah. And in Puerto Rico. Well, yeah. However, that doesn't mean that it's incorrect. It means you're incorrect simply because DC is not a state. Nor Puerto Rico. No. So the truth is, when we're speaking factually, you are incorrect, despite obviously the qualifications that must come with writing an op-ed at MarketWatch about the flag. Well, I don't understand. It's like, it'd be like Yakov Smirnov going on CNN right now, having a show to talk about criticize jugglers. What is happening here in country? We used to have good jugglers. Like, it's just not appropriate. She's writing about the flag at MarketWatch. What
in Russia, balls juggle you.
Balls juggle you.
She has an embarrassment of freedom. This is the thing. Like she has so much freedom that she has no idea what it's like in the rest of the world. You're telling me that
she has a lot of time in her hands.
Well, yeah, she does. Travel around the world and ask them what's
like. Pass the time and I'm bored.
I'm killing
Think about swallowing a sword.
Oh, well, don't do that.
But the American flag has. I got no hit singles coming out of here.
How do I get back to this? Yeah, I just say.
I haven't had a single in here.
Yeah. Oh, that symbol behind you.
I try to write one and I stumble.
I will kill both of you with these hands.
Because I am a drunk here, and I do heroin and methamphetamine. All right, so you're right. This symbol is hateful.
No, I did not say that. But I was saying that stands for freedom. Name a freer place on the planet. We'll run it up the pole. We'll run that flag up the pole if you can name that place.
I rhyme words and it is not clear.
I have no. It's a good point. Maybe Luxembourg?
No.
Well, shit.
I don't even know what Luxembourg is.
It's basically a fake financial state where people build their money. Yeah. It's the only place in the world with a higher average income than the United States, too, because it's basically just a bunch of banks. It's not a real place.
Well, okay.
So here is the argument. I want you to see the argument that has been made from the left supporting, of course, Macy Gray. It's not that Macy Gray said it. It's that people amplify this, and this goes back to the idea of cancel culture. It's not that one person says this is offensive. It's that a bunch of other people in positions of power deem it offensive enough to get you removed, to take away your livelihood. In this case, it's not that one singer who hasn't had a single in years, which doesn't make her unqualified, mind you. It just means that obviously this is someone who is a useful pawn to the media, and they choose which voices and which opinions warrant elevation. For example, if James Woods has an opinion, right? They go, washed up actor James Woods, who just had a #1 show not long ago. And James Woods, you'd be hard pressed to find an actor people don't respect as an actor. Or Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood, who hasn't had a good film since Sully. Here's Macy Gray. Yeah. So that's the point. See what trickery is going on here. So these are some of the arguments that I've heard people making as to why we need to change the flag, and they're silly. They hold no water. One is, well, the flag's been redesigned before, right? We hear this. This is all over Twitter. We have dozens of designs of the flags at I think you can bring this up at Collage H, at the Philadelphia Museum. Oh, no. Why not now? Okay. I don't know why I should have to explain this. But look, when you're a new nation, okay, and you're creating a flag, obviously some changes happen. For example, you may not have the same number of stars to represent states when there are no states. So this is what happened. There was eventually an agreement on the flag that incorporated stars and stripes and then eventually stars into states. And here's the thing, too. When we changed them, we changed the number of stars, for example, or the layout of stars to avoid the flag being cluttered, right, aesthetically. It wasn't a change of what the flag represented. Let's be real. There were no monumental changes. There weren't arbitrary changes of colors, of symbolism, of what the flag meant. Like, hey, we had stars up there that represent states. Now they're going to represent Jefferson's horses. That never happened. It's always been the same. And this also matters when people say, well, we added people to the Supreme Court at one point, and they don't talk about the historical context. The historical context here is the flag that we have right now, 50 states, is the longest standing flag. It's been there for 61 years. 61 years. And then the last flag right before it, the only difference was 48 stars, 47 years. So really, from 240 plus years, the flag has remained virtually unchanged outside of adding stars as we have new states.
Well, the circle.
Right, the circle.
Which I got upset when they changed to the square.
You know, it's one of those things. It's kind of like when they decide with the iPhone to go beveled to no bevel. You're like, what? What's modern? Is it rounded? Is it angular? I don't know. I'm not in the Tron fan club.
Can't have two circles?
Oh.
I'm just saying, it's a lot of
getting dangerously close to the male symbol, so we have to avoid it.
The
next thing you know, someone puts an arrow in there and you're in trouble. Macy Gray and the left, they wanted to change colors. They wanted to change the symbolism, reasoning, because, again, the reasoning was the current flag is racist, right? This is something that's pretty important. They're saying we need to change it. We need to change the colors. We need to make it LGBTQ, AAIP inclusive. We need to make sure that it includes Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico. And this is the issue with things like critical race theory. So, for example, look, in school, you should learn, hey, when was America discovered? Hey, Declaration of Independence. Hey, what was the Civil War? When was the Emancipation Proclamation signed? Hey, okay, we had slavery. Why did we end slavery? Who opposed the abolition of slavery? What happened throughout the Industrial Revolution, right? These are the things that you should learn. When you start teaching children, none of that stuff is important. Racism, people have no foundation to understand this is why we have the flag. This is why also other nations, be it World War II, be it other nations abroad, for example, being burned alive in cages, Christians in the Middle East, they are scanning the horizon in the hopes that the one beacon of a shining light they could see on the hill is that stars and stripes, because it means something to them. That's why more people have died trying to get here than anywhere else. Have you seen the boats some people have tried to make trips from in Cuba? They're not only not seaworthy, they're not even buoyant.
Like car doors and stuff. Car doors and coolers.
Right. And
some styrofoam.
But to them, here's the thing: the Cuban American immigrant knows more about why America is America than Macy Gray.
Of course.
Like you said, her privilege, her freedom is embarrassing. You can't in the same breath say, hey, it's racist for us to have a wall, to not open up our borders to every single caravan that wants to come here and say, by the way, our flag is a symbol of hate. It's like the Bethlehem Star for these people. And I understand it. And that's why I'm sympathetic to people who want to come to this country, but they have to do it legally. Macy Gray's never thought about this. And more importantly, the senior editors at CNN and Market Watch and Forbes and Newsweek, it's asinine. But that's why you want critical race theory in schools, because you want the asinine to become normalized.
Yes. This is like dating somebody who just you can't make happy.
Right.
Just keep throwing
like dating
stuff
Macy
at
Gray?
him. Yeah, like dating Macy Gray. But
you said you were going to get me another album.
Right. It doesn't matter what you do, though. It's just more and more and more. Every time they get something they want, it's something else that's oppressing them. If you make it so they're not oppressed, then they have nothing to do.
Yeah.
So that's why the second you change something, it's just something else. The flag's like, what do you want us to do to the flag?
If Al Sharpton woke...
There's a rainbow over here. No, I'm just wondering, like, what...
they wanted to be a Skittles commercial. If Al Sharpton woke up tomorrow and realized that racism was over, it would be like the first chapter in Left Behind.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I woke up today with a job to do, but there don't seem to be no shoes. What are you saying? It's empty. What do I do? Well, you're basically useless. That's been a long time coming.
I want to ask Macy a question. What flag design did the Union soldiers who freed the slaves wear? I don't know. Maybe that one would work for you, because I think it's the same one that's sitting right behind you right now.
No, those people are racist.
Hundreds of thousands of people died.
No. There was a party switch. Just ask Robert Byrd. Just try and sift through all the N-bombs he drops, but you'll find it.
I have the other team's flag all over my truck.
Yes. Also some rollerblades. I thought it was like a Just Married decoration. I don't know.
Just gonna let y'all know, Manny sent over some pictures of the garbage rafts.
Oh, geez, that's terrible.
Yeah, well, I got to see them when I went to Guantanamo Bay.
Well, Stephen, what happened is they got close to the border and they said, "Have you changed the flag yet?"
Yeah,
if you haven't, we're not coming. We're going back.
Well, they got close, and it was just Macy Gray and a loudspeaker. I wanna welcome you. Go back.
They're like, turn around.
I'm not scared that they take out a saxophone. Anything is better than this.
Please go back. Go away.
I love Chavez.
They're just like they're sitting there like an ex-lover on Batista's door. Please. Yeah. I know Batista's now. That's an old regime. Shut up. So
how to float away, get eaten by our shark.
But at least it's not a racist shark.
Was it a tiger or Mako? I'm getting esoteric right now. So
America is harder, so you should build gallons of water into a boat.
All right. This is run its course. Much like Macy Gray.
Too far. So I just meant the milk jugs.
So here's another argument that
I got it. No, hold on. It's important.
Okay.
We can float over. We can float over here for hugs.
Okay.
On a raft made of milk jugs.
Okay.
There you go. See, that's what I was going for. I was too busy laughing at the one you had just had.
Yeah. Worth the wait.
Look, I'm not saying it was the best. I'm just saying it worked.
I appreciate it.
It's good.
Basically. Buffalo, New York.
Workshop it.
Buffalo, New York. You can see me making Macy Gray jokes.
What's up with Buffalo? I don't know much about your locality.
That joke's why I'm performing in a strip mall.
Just be sure to buy now 2 drinks because there is a minimum drink. All right.
Dear Lord, help.
The Macy Gray just happens to be in the strip mall. She's like, what the fuck? That's copyrighted. I don't have time for this shit. And his manager's like, actually, according to the schedule, you do.
All kinds of time.
A lot of time.
I got nothing but time. So here's another argument that we see from the left. And I saw this all over Twitter. Again, blue check marks, and people are like, oh, yeah, listen, for people who say the flag matters, you don't want to change it, who fly the Trump flag or the thin blue line flag, you've lost a leg to stand on. Okay. Real? Is it? Now, this is an argument that passes for the CNN room or the Stephen Colbert writing. Look, almost always, almost invariably, when you see the Trump flag or the thin blue line flag, it's alongside people who also carry the American flag because they don't deem it offensive, right? It was never meant to replace the American flag. Have you ever seen someone opine that we need to do away with the American flag and replace it with the thin blue line flag? No, not at all. But because they honor the flag, and unlike Macy Gray and the left, who hate America, which is why they say Donald Trump was so divisive, because his policy put America first. Starting to see the thread here, they, of course, will not carry the flag. Look, I challenge you this, okay? First off, the MAGA flag, right, the Trump thing, this is basically a bumper sticker that was turned into a flag. You won't find Donald Trump rallies or official rallies where people are flying that there isn't an American flag there, okay? Just won't happen. Usually, I want you to try this too. See a truck with the thin blue line flag, or look at houses that they have the thin blue line flag. Count how many of them in your neighborhood and comment below are alongside the American flag. Now, for contrast, I want you to count how many of the rainbow Peter puffing flags are alongside American flags, because that is something I've never understood. If you're going to say that America is the symbol of hate and oppression, okay, how many porches do you think in Iran have the Iranian flag next to the LGBTQ AIP?
0. Next to the body hanging?
Yes. That's really what it is. So I don't understand it. I mean, I get it. It's because you hate America. Because obviously we could go through this rationally and go, well, it seems to me you could still love the rights and freedoms afforded here in America and love penis.
And by the way, when police officers
say that
are being killed for sitting in their car in the wrong neighborhood, it's kind of okay to say, hey, I want to do something to support you. I'll fly the American flag and the thin blue line.
Oh, you mean like the organizations that Macy Gray supports?
Oh.
Black Lives Matter? Yeah, taking out police officers, record number of violence against police this last year?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We understand. Let's let your flag fly. By the way, there is a Black Lives Matter flag and an Antifa flag as well, okay?
And a gay flag, that's what I mean. These flags do exist.
Right.
can put them up. Why do you have to mess with the American flag?
Because they hate the United States of America.
It's like, just put up the flag you want. Nobody said you couldn't.
Yeah, people are like, this is tribalism. Sure, look, I'm not a centrist, drawing a line in the sand. When you say we need to change the American flag because it's racist, sexist, homophobic, and incorrect, I say, no, you are incorrect. That's it.
And it doesn't represent freedom. That's the dumbest part of this argument. It shows that you've done zero research on the rest of the
I
world.
wouldn't even call it tribalism. It's just patriotism.
Yeah. At one point, that used to be okay.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Now it's almost like drawing half the Christian fish. You see an American flag, 90% chance they're conservative. That's the reality. That's true. May not like it. It's true. All right.
But you can make your own flag.
Yeah. Well, actually, we have an exclusive look at what Macy Gray's new flag looks like. It's aiming to be as inclusive as possible. I think, yeah.
Oh, I like it.
It's basically just the intro to Space Odyssey with corporations.
Corporate sponsorship, man. I hate it.
That's a good thing.
They're in everything.
I know. I'm surprised as well that it wasn't Cools.
I know, but it's still funny. Well, they're taking away menthol. We don't want to endanger anybody.
Right? Yeah.
Even reading one of those labels could kill you, evidently.
It's always funny to me. This is how they do everything wrong. The government. I remember I went into an audition once. Okay. I don't know if people want this little inside baseball, but I went into an audition with one of the most well-known comedy casting agents of our generation.
No.
And she was like, "Yeah, I heard. I've seen some stuff that you're more conservative. That's not really common." And I said, "Why is that?" I said, "Well," and this is how he answered exactly. I said, without getting into detail, I tend to believe that individuals, when given the freedom and ability to make their own decisions, do them more effectively, relatively speaking, to bureaucrats in D.C. And that's why I'm a conservative. And she said, "Oh, well, that's interesting. I can understand that. Don't ever say that if you want to work in this industry again." Because most people aren't as tolerant as I am, is what she said.
Wow.
Anyway.
You meet a lot of people in Hollywood, though, that are closet conservatives.
But the point that I was making there is, I said that because I truly believe the government almost screws everything up, generally speaking. The examples they tried out when they tried to say your Social Security check, that's a screw up. I mean, how many times have we had to raid a slush fund?
You know who else believes that, though? That principle that you just basically espouse as Republicans? Democrats. They just believe it with religion.
Right.
They believe that if human beings are generally good when they're unshackled from this oppressive God.
Right. My point with the government here, because we started with cigarettes, and then I got off on a sidetrack, a tangent. Thanks, Dave, and your restless leg syndrome. No, seriously.
It's a disease.
Think about this. The FDA, I think it's the FDA. I don't know who else, the anti-tobacco lobbyists and all this.
Yeah.
They got together, okay? There was a meeting of the minds. The best and the brightest among us. Let's be really clear. And they said, we need to do something about smoking because it seems that cigarette smoke is bad for teenagers. And they said, okay, let's look at the component. This is the government. Keep in mind, our best and brightest. They looked at the cigarette. They probably had a little box, moved it around, said, okay, what is a cigarette? Got a whiteboard, wrote it down, okay, right? It's causing harm. What's causing harm? Okay. Well, what is the best thing that we could do to try and curb behavior without infringing on rights? I know. We'll ban the menthol component of the cigarette. That seems to be the primary offender here. Also, vape juice.
Yeah, this is
the best and brightest. Put them in charge of your retirement, you dumbasses.
More accurate.
The menthol.
It's the same as even I understood when I was young, even though the Joe Camel thing. It's like, look, it's a cartoon. It appeals to kids. I understand. Menthol cigarettes, there's no reason. It's like Spuds McKenzie, who, by the way, died of a complication of liver failure and HIV.
Oh, wow.
That dog got busy.
I thought he just met Michael Vick.
Yeah, no. He was already.
Those were the ones who were really bad fighters. He slow killed them.
That was his early days.
It's okay, though. He passed out flyers at the mall.
Spuds McKenzie just walking into a Michael Vick party. Never walks out.
Hey, guys.
No.
Oh, hell.
Oh, that's hilarious. And also not.
Right.
I don't even know where it's going with that.
You were making it about the
I get rid of that because you're going, okay, this appeals to kids, whatever. I collected the Marlboro Miles when I was like 14 because I smoked. I'm like, go and get me a pool table. And it's ridiculous. But I can understand that. But the taking away menthol is really, I honestly see it as racist.
Really?
Because it's a cigarette that's more commonly smoked by black people. That's just a fact. And if it's something that somebody enjoys, I'm not saying you should do it, but if you enjoy it, you're an adult, you're able to make that decision that you're allowed to have a cigarette, you should be able to have it. That's just my opinion.
Wow. Racist.
I just think I heard Dave. I think I heard him say he's racist.
No,
I don't even think Cool sells non-menthols. Let's be honest.
No,
it's true.
I started on Newports because I was like, come on, quarter.
Of course, more. Whoa, listen,
we know it.
We know this because you know what else? You have the FDA studies. They also said, hey, we want to reduce children smoking. I understand that. And so they decided to include among cigarettes hand-rolled $8 or $9 cigars, along with like Swisher Sweets, which, by the way, a lot of these are Philly Sweets. They tend to be smoked in, I guess urban communities. It's a cultural thing. It's been around for a while. But when they actually look at the studies, because some people said, hey, hold on a second, you're talking about mom and pop businesses where a hand-rolled cigar is very expensive. We very much doubt that kids in junior high are purchasing $9, $10, $11, $12 cigars. 0% of children.
No.
We're starting with hand-rolled cigars. None.
Well, I started with Black & Mounts, but
it's a cigarette.
Yeah,
it's a cigarette with a wooden tip.
But even with those, of course, they're not using cigars because when they buy a cigar, it's a Swisher Sweet to get wet, then open it up with a razor blade, dump out the tobacco, fill it with pot, and have yourself a blunt party.
Yeah, unless it's Delta THC-8, which is banned.
Well, then you don't want that kind of pot out.
No, you can't have it. Just have this gummy that'll make you see the devil's dick.
That's
a quote.
It's a direct devil blush now.
That is a direct quote. Okay.
What if it's not a good dick?
So here is
like angled weird.
Yeah, you're like, wow.
You gotta have something. You've got to have something going for him for anyone to have followed him in the fall.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah.
It's like, I know I'm kind of a jerk. I've mistreated y'all, but
I'm beautiful.
Come on.
All right.
He did bless me with one thing.
I don't want to be taking the butt vaccine. So, for people who are tuning in later, it was the president of the Philippines who threatened his own citizens with a butt vaccine.
That's horrible punishment.
In prison.
So this is something that was brought to my attention yesterday. Gerald, you're going to be fired because you're too much of a liability. And every time you point something out, and it's linked at louderwskyler.com as an official source, it changes.
I thought this was
It's like
funny.
Ed Rooney's attendance computer. So yesterday on the show, Gerald mentioned he was looking up something on his phone. And I want to be very, very clear here. None of us are expressing any opinions right now at all, because that would be impermissible. And of course, those are my Club members. We'll talk later. On the show, Gerald covered that the WHO, the World Health Organization's vaccine guidance on their own website yesterday, at the time of, it was 11 o'clock Eastern,
11, yeah.
11 o'clock yesterday, Gerald pointed out this.
The WHO did come out and say children should not be vaccinated for the moment. This is from their website.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
So, yesterday, by yesterday afternoon,
yeah,
those giant bolded letters, which almost seems like they might be important.
Some would say.
Gone.
Oh.
Gone. We have it available at louderscrowd.com. I went through Time Machine so you can see the previous day. And today, now it is replaced with non-bold. Children and adolescents tend to have milder disease compared to adults, so unless they are part of a group at higher risk of severe COVID-19, it is less urgent to vaccinate them than older people, those with chronic health conditions, and workers. More evidence is needed on the use of different COVID-19 vaccines for children to be able to make general recommendations on vaccinating children against. Here's the thing. Yesterday, you made a very clear recommendation that they should not be vaccinated. And let's be clear, there have been other national governing health authorities that made it clear that children should not be vaccinated. Now, today, well, not today, yesterday, within hours, they said, we can't make a recommendation. And this is the issue, because we ran into the same issue with the CDC, again, not expressing any opinions. Can you bring up the overlay so I don't get in trouble? Where the original on CDC, when this was said on air, I'm just going to read the CDC. It said the risk of complications for healthy children is higher for flu compared to COVID-19. However, infants and children with underlying medical conditions are at increased risk for both flu and COVID-19. The key there is the risk of complications for healthy children is higher for flu compared to COVID-19. When that was quoted on air, that was the violation of YouTube guidelines. Not the quote exactly. They said it could be, I think the commentary could be misinterpreted as though COVID isn't dangerous, which is not true. This was on the CDC website. When we brought attention to it, then there's one hard strike later, the CDC changed it to read, for young children, especially children younger than 5 years old, the risks of serious complications is higher for flu compared to COVID-19. However, serious COVID-19 illness resulting in hospitalization and death can even occur in healthy young children. They changed it to minimize, well, we don't really know. But here's what's important. When you go from, hey, don't do X, don't vaccinate children.
Right.
It's not recommended, to, we don't know. What science, we're talking about science, what science changed in 3 hours? Is there a new study that we don't know about? This is all I'm saying, because I want to be able to trust the scientific process. The scientific process should be, Gerald says something at 11 a.m. Eastern that's bolded on the World Health Organization.
Right.
You just have to sort of, you have to sift through the Taiwan doesn't exist comments.
It's true.
You say it, and then within 3 hours they say, oh, we don't have any info to make a recommendation. So then either you made a recommendation based on bogus information before, or there's no new information, and now it's a political change. That is my point. That is why you don't have trust in institutions. It's not Americans' fault. It's yours.
Well, and I think they have to be held accountable. Why did you make the change? So you owe an explanation to us, because I believe that link, that page, those recommendations came out within the last week, maybe 10 days, something like that. If I'm off by a little bit, it's definitely within this month, right? Not long ago. What you asked the question, what changed? Okay, fine.
That's all I want to know.
Now you need to tell us why you thought it was so important to remove what is a very important part of this. The bolded sections tend to draw people's attention on purpose, because this is where you need to focus your attention. Then below it, you explain what the point is. You change that, and then you change the write-up for it. Why?
And here's the issue right now. You are seeing this in real time, because we've talked about this in the past. They switched on asymptomatic carriers. They switched on masks. They switched on double masks. They switched on it being a lab leak. You're experiencing in real time right now people trying to navigate their lives and make decisions based on information that changes arbitrarily. Look, lest you claim I'm an anti-vaxxer, let me be really clear. 97-year-old grandma who's had bronchial issues, I wanted her vaccinated as soon as humanly possible.
Yeah,
okay? Why? Because I looked through the information that had been provided, data, and we had a lot of data on older people, and specifically people who may be immunocompromised. And of course, the science seemed to be very clear that any risk is worth the reward for them. Now, we need to be able to make this decision in real time. And before yesterday at 11, according to the World Health Organization, someone will look at it and go, okay, they're saying the science says don't do vaccinations for children, and you make that decision. Then it changes 3 hours later. You're seeing it happen in real time. And then afterwards, they say, if you're against us, you're against science. Did some of you did some of you look at the World Health Organization and maybe cancel vaccinations with your kids? And was that wrong to do? What changed? What information is there? No. We know what the recommendations were, and we know they went away. And this happens all the time. And I don't know, but you mentioned on the show, and then this happens all the time.
I had to look at it like 5 times. I actually tweeted this out, and I was like, I wonder how long this is going to take to be taken down, because I'm sure this is going to go against their policy. Little did they know that, I just took a screenshot of the website.
Yes.
And then somebody pointed out to me, I have to give him credit for it. He was just like, I think something changed. I was like, what? I clicked the link, and it was just gone.
Whoops.
Just absolutely gone. That's unbelievable. With no explanation. I want to know who made the phone call. I want to know who made the phone call and said, hey, you need to change this because people are actually taking what we say seriously and they're basing their decisions off of it.
Right.
Please change this really quickly to something vague so they can't do it anymore.
And I'm not even saying at this point, I'm not qualifying either as dishonest.
No.
What I am saying is, I have no idea why there was one statement and it was changed. This is not me just pulling a Jesse Ventura asking questions, just trying to insinuate that there's a conspiracy. I actually want these answers, and these are answers that only the World Health Organization, that only the CDC, that only people like Fauci can give us.
You're on the grid.
Yes.
I'm not off the grid. I'm off the grid because I have about half an acre outside of St. Paul where I have a block filter to avoid fluoride in the tap.
Half an acre.
I'm off the grid on my new television show on Discovery.
Exactly.
Like, you realize you can be more on the grid.
Hey, you were
I was a Navy SEAL.
Were those things?
It was an underwater demolition unit, but it's the same damn thing.
I hunted the predator.
Listen, you know that I'm a real ass kicker if I still manage to rise to some modicum of fame with my riffraff hairdo. They usually don't let folks like us in the door. I'm just asking questions.
All right, we have to get going to talk about things that we can't talk about here, and we're going to play Hipster or Hobo.
Yeah.
If you're not a member, sign up Mug Club. We have another 45 minutes of show, louderscrowd.com/Mug Club. Tomorrow, Cultural Appropriation Month, California. I think we have Michael Knowles on the show, too. If I'm not mistaken. Is it Brett Weinstein? I don't know. We have some guests coming up. And, that's just a still of gangrene. It's a forensic image. Send in your costumes. We'll be taking your costumes tomorrow. California Cultural Appropriation Month. You two piss off. It shows how much he donated to prominent Democrat organizations. Now, let's go through these numbers again. Thanks to Mom at Arms. In 2020, okay, just $120 to Act Blue PAC. That doesn't seem like a lot.
No.
$500 to Biden for president. That's not a whole lot. No. But then he did give, to be fair, just want to be fair, $2,000 to a Republican organization.
Really?
Yeah, the Lincoln Project.
Dude, come on.
So here's the thing. His hatred for Republicans is just outweighed by his love for pedophiles.
Yeah,
so the Lincoln
that's
Project,
what it shows.
Can they really be classified as a Republican organization? Come on. That's been debunked.
I mean, at a certain point, like when people are mad that you're besmirching the reputation of someone, Lincoln, not a perfect man, taught himself to read by candlelight, was a wrestler, was a great man with an axe, Emancipation Proclamation, freed the slaves. And you guys are groomers.
Lots of comparisons there.
Yeah. I just don't think you should be comparing grooming pedophiles with the Lincoln Project to Abraham Lincoln.
No, yeah.
Doesn't pass the penny test. So there's also records of David Chipman donating to Barack Obama in 2008. His wife, Tara, has given $22,000 to Democratic organizations, including $1,000 to Biden's campaign. So the total from David and his wife, David Chipman, to Democratic organizations since 2008 is something around $41,000.
Jeez.
According to the FEC.
Does that include the Lincoln Project?
I have no idea.
We should. That should just be lumped in.
It does include it.
Okay.
Of course. I was just being facetious. Of course it includes the Lincoln. Anyone surprised? Did you guys know this?
I had no idea that. And look, I mean, people can give political donations as much as they want, but when somebody comes in front of their hearing to be confirmed and they say, I don't have any strong opinions on doing this job, whatever you guys tell me to do, you're like, we're going to have to talk to somebody else about this. By the way, who do you think you're going to side with on this? Do you think you're going to push back if Joe Biden does something illegal or if Congress puts out a plan that's actually illegal? Are you going to push back? No, you donated to them. You're in bed with them already.
Right.
We need somebody who has a little bit of balls in it.
Well, I think there's a little bit more than that. Look, it's not only just giving to Democrats, but here's the issue. When people say, I'm not anti-gun, right? They say, I'm pro-gun control. I just want responsible gun ownership.
Yeah.
What balanced legislations have the Democrats promoted? In other words, all the people David Chipman is given to, right? Where have they said, hey, let's make it more accessible for law-abiding citizens to protect themselves. Let's make it harder for criminals to get them. Hey, we're not anti-gun, so here's a balanced proposal. In other words, as opposed to saying, hey, we're not anti-gun, but we need background checks. Well, we already have them. We need waiting periods. People die when they have waiting periods and they have restraining orders. And we don't think anyone should be able to own basic handguns. We'll define them as an assault weapon. Well, that's silly. Where is the balance that's being proposed? The balance is just fire a double barrel shotgun in the air. And this guy wants to be illegal in control of the ATF.
Wasn't he also the guy in Waco?
Yes.
Yes, he was. Ruby Ridge-ish.
Well, their problems aren't going away in these Democrat cities because their policies their policies can't fix them. They can't be fixed. So they're not going away. They'll always have to deal with that issue.
Right. And when you're talking about guns, will you stop blaming an inanimate object for problems that you're having in your city? Will you blame criminals, please? Will you focus on the actual problem?
Oh, wait, hold on a second. CNN is live right now. Homicides in Minneapolis on pace to reach highest totals in years. Let's see how they spin this, okay? We're here live.
The harm that has happened at the hands of a dysfunctional police force.
Yes.
It has to be transformed. That's our demand. That's where the whole slogan around Black Lives Matters comes from. And while we do that, and while we invest in social supports and ending the racism in education and health and income and wealth and all of that stuff, we have to also
higher than average for people spending in Minneapolis.
Sufficient levels of staffing of police officers that will keep our babies, our elderly,
Wait,
and
hold
our
on a second.
citizens safe.
When you say defund the police and we need sufficient staffing, doesn't that require funding? Or do you just expect everyone to work in perpetuity and collect unemployment checks because that's what you want to do? That's what Biden wanted to continue. I don't understand. How do you staff the police force? Everything she just said was doublespeak and stupid.
I feel like Jim Carrey needs to break in and just be like, stop breaking the law, assholes! Yes, maybe that would help. That's where you need to start, and then we'll talk about these other programs.
No. It's racism in schooling and, whatnot. Let's hear her talk more.
What I would say is that some of the decisions have just been premature, and they've harmed the very people they were intended to help.
Like
and that's
defunding the police?
Yeah.
You said our babies, so let's talk about the kids of Minneapolis for a moment. At least 22 children.
By the way, a lot of youth are involved in carjackings now, too. So again, like I said, Minneapolis, St. Paul, we brought that up earlier, tripled the carjackings.
Yeah.
Now they just say a lot of kids shot. A lot of kids
by who?
Performing carjacking.
Yeah, by who?
So in other words, for every carjacking that is recorded successfully, how many are thwarted by someone defending themselves, their God-given right? So let's see if they even touch on that.
Ladavian Garrett Jr. shot in the head in April, riding with his parents as a black mother. What reform, right? You say don't defund, but reform police. What saves our kids?
Right. So what saves our kids, and I think the president said this great in a wonderful way, Poppy, it's going to take all of us to really think through what our solutions are.
But your city council, hey guys, bring it up there from the research room. Was it their city council or committee that voted to defund the police? It was like 9 votes. There was an actual city council or charter.
Yeah.
So let's go. The racism in education, the racism in housing, the racism in health, the racism in the disparities around income. I mean, it's all of that.
It's all racism.
So we have to get at all of it. But
so you believe that you've seen a tripling in carjackings against civilians because of racism in housing and health?
That makes sense.
And education, don't forget
that. Don't forget that, even though there's higher per pupil spending. And teachers' unions, of course, will not allow charter schools or school voucher programs at all.
No, those are better for kids, and we don't want that. Did I say that out loud? Oops.
And again, it was your stupid city that voted to defund the police. This is just, again, none of them are called. Minneapolis City Council votes to remove $8 million from police.
That'll get more cops on the street.
That happened right away. She's like, maybe we rushed to decisions. Well, now I'm hearing you rushing to other decisions.
I can't believe this. I really can't. I can believe a second ago, but like not one word about saying, men, step up in your communities and do a better job at being fathers. Not one word about families saying, hey, step up and make sure that your kids are not out on the street committing crimes and joining gangs and shooting up cars. The people that they just put up there to kind of pull at your heartstrings, the kids, were shot by people who just randomly shot in cars.
Yeah.
It wasn't cops.
I don't know. They might claim they were cops. I have no idea.
They were not cops. Okay. There's been no claim that they were cops. It was thug criminals that did that, and you're going to be like, well, how do we fix it?
Hey, but as a black mother, though. As a black mother.
Yeah, as a black mother. Hey, how about just as a mother who wants a city without crime? How about that? Let's
Were those white supremacist thugs, Joe?
They had to be.
Yeah, it was Ed Furlong in a black bomber jacket.
Into town.
Yeah.
Be focused on, which I'm excited by.
Look, Sandra, you have said that this is really at the heart of the fight for the heart of America. So we will continue to have your voice on this. Of
course you will. No, you know what? You're fighting against the heart of America. Let me be really clear. You are fighting against the heart of America when you believe that the kinds of policies that you voted for in Minneapolis are what Americans want. 80% of black Americans, keep in mind, this is something, too, that no one wants to talk about. That broad on that television, okay, is only walking back the defund the police to reform because she is completely out of touch with black America.
Right.
The voices that we see on CNN, the voices that we see on ABC, NBC, CBS, if you were an alien and you landed right here on Earth, you would think that all black Americans must want to defund the police until someone says, here's poll after poll after poll. At intervals of 3 months, it's never lower than 80%. It's higher than white people. The last poll was white people, 77%, said at least as much of a police presence or more. Over 80% of black people.
Yeah.
Where's their voice?
You know what they're doing? They're calling out for help in their communities, and you're saying we need to send in social workers and we need to defund the police. How in the world can you be that out of touch with what people need?
And this is also, by the way, the beauty of being able to do this show live. You know, there's nothing up the sleeve. This is happening live right now. We didn't intend to talk about Minneapolis crime and them go up there and spewing their bullshit. This is what happens all the time. And let me get a little conspiratorial with you here, okay? I absolutely now I don't mean conspiratorial because what inspired this idea was the Black Lives Matter website and their charter. So, they say they want to just seek the destruction of the nuclear family. Yeah. That's what they say because it's an example of white supremacy and patriarchy. And the two are often interchangeable.
They've already done that.
Yeah. Well, that's obviously what they're trying to do right here. Look, the most significant safeguard, okay, against not only an overly encroaching government, but all of society's ills. Nuclear family. Mommy, daddy, kids. Period. It's not even close. We all know this. This was the foundational building block of this country, that the only way a constitutional republic like this that afforded more freedoms than any country before it, and still became a global superpower, by the way, as opposed to a nation of drugged-out libertines, was we need, before federal government, before state government, we need the nuclear family, and that's why it was encouraged. And when you hear everything she just said, it's about public schooling. It's about racism in housing. It's about racism in healthcare. Yeah. That is now saying it's the government's job to do all of those things for you. Not mommy and daddy. It's not their job to take care of you. Trust Big Daddy government. Yeah. We're like the Big Brother program. We're the one who's going to help you. It is easy to get your claws in children, just like Lincoln Project. If you're a sexual predator, if you're a grooming pedophile, guess what you look for? Someone with a weak family structure. Yeah. Ideally, someone without a father figure. It's really easy for big government socialist policies to get their claws in you when you're at your youngest, most vulnerable, and you don't have someone to watch your back like a dad.
Yeah. And somebody too, honestly, if you do all of these policies, if you enact everything that they want to get rid of the quote-unquote systemic racism that's plaguing their communities, you're not going to fix the problem.
Yeah, no,
you're still going to have people in broken families.
And you know what else too? People often use this term deep state, and a lot of people who use it are morons, where they just want to say deep state, deep state, deep state. Here's what to me, when we talk about that, because it's a valid point, what it actually is. Unelected officials who enact basically laws through regulations. Yeah. People think that it's just a law. You have people like Chipman. Yeah. Is he going to be elected? But he's going to have a say on whether you get to keep that revolver if it has a 10-round cylinder. He's going to have a say if your Glock 19 is still allowed in your state. He's going to have a say if you have a rapist tracking you down in New Jersey, right? And you have a restraining order and he's blown through it, but you have to wait 30 days. He's unelected. Guess what? People who are unelected are going to have a say on what your police department is allowed to do. People who are unelected are going to have a say in how much you spend on local housing. These are unelected people who serve exclusively to protect other unelected people. If you actually look at Washington, D.C., and you look at the amount of people who work there, who work in government, who were actually elected as part of the constitutional republic versus people who work there and throw up red tape, bureaucratic regulations, and I'm not even talking about lobbyists. I'm not even including them. That's what the deep state is. Anyone who is unelected and a career politician. You know, people like Fauci, people like Chipman.
Yeah, people who have been in there forever and have no accountability for their past mistakes.
I'm not saying that there's an underground pizza parlor where the Lincoln Project keeps kids chained up against the wall. What I am saying is someone like a Fauci, someone like a David Chipman, who was involved with tear gassing women and children in Waco, Fauci, who was wrong about everything when it came to AIDS and cost potentially millions of lives, has more control over your life than your family if they had their way. That should scare the shit out of you. And that's not conspiratorial. That's reality. That's the deep state.
Right. And the left is actually pushing those individuals as being correct and above reproach. Yeah. Right. They're deifying these people and saying, oh, they just are fantastic. We've gotten the experts in the room now. Don't look at what they've actually said and don't look at what the results have actually been from that.
It really is remarkable. So, and you guys can, you can let me know. Am I wrong? What do you think of deep state? I think it goes beyond just career politician like Joe Biden. Because at some point he was elected.
Well, at least the politicians are out front, right? You can see them. You understand what they're doing. It's these other actors behind the scenes that are just in government appointed positions that you never hear about.
At least they're out front. Unless you're a 9-year-old with Joe Biden.
Well, that's, it's hard to sniff from in front.
Cornrows aren't going to sniff themselves. So let's continue with this. Perfect state. That's an example. Perfect city, Detroit. Oh, you know what? Before this, do we have that girl? We have that girl right now. Do we have we have parent? You know what? Let's include the parent. I think at this point, I think it's important to include this. This is actually in talking about this parent of the week. Here we go. And this guy was complaining, I believe, at a parent-teacher conference. And you're seeing this more because parents are finally aware of what their kids are being taught. Yeah. They're going, wait a second. Actually, Andrew Breitbart, who I was sort of sat under his tutelage. I remember he brought out, and I think we brought this up a long time. If you have kids, I'd probably have them get rid of the room right now. Get them out of the room right now. Not get rid of the room.
How do you do that?
You can't do that. I don't know. Ask Joe Biden.
Just throw the room away.
I assume they can take in the padding or take it out. Kevin Jennings, I believe was it Kevin Jennings? There's one guy who's Jeopardy. I believe he was head of some Department of Education, some type of education czar. You guys can find it. And there was audio tape of him teaching junior high schoolers how to fist each other.
What?
Yeah.
Yep. That's a good thing.
No, it's not.
Pugilism? Yeah, pugilism. Boxing? Yeah. Oh. He was teaching them how to fist each other. And this was something that, of course, people thought, well, it's just conspiratorial, Andrew Breitbart, just like they said with Anthony Weiner. Remember that? They were saying, oh, Anthony Weiner, Andrew Breitbart.
That's ridiculous.
Alec Baldwin said, this Anthony Weiner story has a whiff of Breitbart. Well, you mean it's true?
Yeah.
So this kind of stuff, then you had parents now going to teacher conferences going, you're teaching them fisting? Wait, you're teaching them critical race theory? You had my child fill out a form as to what sins they're guilty of because someone in their lineage may have owned slaves? People are waking up. It's not just about critical race theory. Parents have taken too inactive of a role, particularly when it relates to public education.
Yes.
I think right now, if you send your kids to public school, personally, I think you're doing your child a great disservice in the United States of America right now. Do whatever you got to do to send them to anything other than public school. And if you have to send them to public school, you better be involved with everything because you are handing your child off for 8 hours a day to, now we know, not necessarily heroes, blue-haired angry feminists who refuse to give your kid a cupcake because he's a straight white male.
Yeah.
This is what's going on.
It's less education and more indoctrination in a lot of these schools.
Also,
not every teacher, of course.
I would say maybe 30% education, 70% indoctrination, and 200% aggravation.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. That was my Johnny Cochran.
I like it, yeah. Good job, John.
Education, indoctrination, it's not affirmation.
You know what's really interesting, too? It's not just that parents have realized what their kids are being taught. It's they realize that the school boards are accountable to them. They realize the power that they now have over school boards, and they're showing up at these meetings, and they're starting to push back.
They're realizing it, but you know who doesn't? The school board.
Exactly.
They don't understand. They
call the cops on
Just like the left has been so unaccountable for so long from the media, teachers, they thought, well, no one question. We're the heroes.
We've got a union.
We have our own teacher signal. Yeah. It's just closed for pedagogical day because this is, what are we going to do? Work 11 months a year? 10? Are you out of your mind, sir? 9 sounds like a good number.
I thought it was amazing. The guy that was taken down at the Loudoun County, Virginia PTA meeting. Perfect takedown by the cops in that instance. With the parent. Yeah, perfect takedown. This was so much with the guys in the streets.
No, not so much. No, not so much. No, it depends on it's context driven.
Of course. He was yelling.
So here's a father yelling. I don't know where do we know where this took place? Someone can let me know.
Sure.
At the local school board about what they're teaching the children. Not only that, but I believe the school board tried to stop parents from even being allowed to criticize. Here you go.
I'm quoting, just a minute, do not talk over me. This is my comment, not your comment. I'm quoting to you now from the United States Supreme Court 1964 case, New York Times versus Sullivan. This is constitutional case law in this country, and I'm quoting you from the U.S. Supreme Court. The judges wrote that this nation is founded on the, quote, profound national commitment to the principle that debate on public issues shall be uninhibited, robust, and wide open, and that it may well include vehement, caustic, and sometimes unpleasantly sharp attacks on government and public officials. That's constitutional case law in this nation. I don't have to be nice to you. Nobody behind me has to be nice to you. If you don't like living in the United States of America, then you can all move to Russia, Cuba, or China. This is the First Amendment.
Put that guy on our team. I don't care about his fruity accent.
I will caution you, solicitor. There is a video camera to my left. If you edit this tape, then you're going to have a big legal problem on your hands.
It's a sex tape.
Because my right to critique your fascism, which is what this is constitutionally protected. There are emails, public record emails, in which the Director of Equity is lobbying and advocating for public comment to be censored in this school district. And you know what? Lobbying for it, advocating for it. We've got the school board president saying she'll do better at hitting the mute button in blatant violation of the Constitution for her lobbying and her advocacy of unconstitutional censorship. I want you, the school board, to terminate the employment of Dr. Charissa Gibson with immediate effect.
Here.
Oh, he ain't done. He goes on.
I know, he goes on. We just can't run the
No, I know. You know what he said after that? He goes, by the way, as soon as you've done that and as soon as she's gone, every one of you must resign immediately.
Yeah. And by the way, you know what's important about this? People always say when you talk about, censorship on YouTube or on Twitter, they go, censorship is only government. First off, that's not really true. Technically, you can censor somebody anywhere. It doesn't have to be a national government. Corporate censorship is a thing. The issue there is, of course, the cozy relationship between big tech and government, the legal protections afforded. However, it still is corporate censorship. But they go, oh, well, why don't you go start your own big tech? Okay. Does it apply when you're talking about a public education system? And they're trying to prevent criticism against, because guess what? That's still supported. In other words, there is no case where they would be, well, okay, you know what? You're right. No, they try and say, there you go, conservatives decrying censorship again. What would you call it? When members of school boards and teachers try to remove the ability for parents of the children attending said schools, the ability to criticize. What would you call it? Is that no longer censorship? What would you call it? When you're going to spy on Americans right now if they're considered right-wing extremists, deeming them domestic terrorists through arbitrary rules that likely can be decided by members of the deep state, meaning unelected officials who share similar views to David Renfield Chipman. In other words, what point do you say it's censorship?
Yeah.
When Donald Trump calls something fake news? Honestly, when do you say Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, even though they enjoy the legal protections of being a public platform, a utility, right? Not being a publisher, it's not censorship. School board meeting, it's not censorship. You don't have the right to be rude. No, as a matter of fact, the First Amendment is specifically the right to be rude. So my question to people on the left, including classical liberals who don't want to actually acknowledge that they're conservatives now, what would you consider censorship? Does it have to be the government beating down your door and putting a ball gag on your mouth? Which, by the way, could be confused for your weekly appointment with a Lincoln Project committee member.
Or, June in San Francisco.
June in San Francisco.
That's true.
Just
or just any month of the year.
Nice.
July, August.
Yeah, well, I love, by the way, that this guy goes in there and is like, and I can't believe that we had to have the Supreme Court tell you that free speech didn't have to be nice. That's essentially what it took from it. And he was saying,
it took a catty teen.
Yeah, exactly. You're muting me because you don't like what I'm saying. How in the world do you think that that's okay? And a British guy comes over and quotes free speech. By the way, they don't have that really in England.
No, they don't.
No, really, they don't.
Not at all, right? Not at all. I was trying to be generous to them because I have some English friends.
Robust means something. It's not just,
exactly.
I kind of sort of.
There's something very disturbing about you saying the word robust.
Yeah.
Twirling your heel.
Well, it's my size 15 pump, Stephen.
Oh, geez. They've got to make all new shoe sizes for women now.
Oh, it's Pennsbury School District in Pennsylvania, by the way.
Oh, that's right.
Hey, nice.
And we do have a kid, if you want to.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? Okay, and I'll say this too. That's Parent of the Week. We have Kid of the Week, and then we're going to get to why California is awful. I don't usually like using clips. People kind of know this. I have a moratorium on using children because I feel like people use them as political. Yeah. I'm sorry, I still keep laughing at Jack Dorsey. Great job, by the way, Angela and Francine. That's unbelievable. That really, I didn't know if Jack Dorsey was going to translate on camera. It couldn't be more clear as to who you are.
I'm not sure that's a compliment to me.
I usually don't like using kids because you end up with like a Greta Thunberg, who's not really a kid. She's 18. Yeah. She was, keep in mind, Greta Thunberg was 16 and a half, right? So they just dressed her like she should be at Build-A-Bear World.
I thought she was like 13 years old.
Yeah. Whereas this next girl, who looks the exact age as Greta Thunberg, is 9 years old, and you can hear by the way that she's speaking that this is clearly the frustrations being vented by a 9-year-old. It's one of the few instances to me that comes across as authentic, and I will vote her president.
I looked up onto the wall and saw a BLM poster and an Amanda Gorman poster. In case you don't know who that chick is, she's some girl who did a poem at Biden's so-called inauguration. I was so mad. I went up to my principal to tell him about the BLM poster and that I wanted it down. He said it's not coming down. I was like, yeah, it is, because the school board said on May 25th, no BLM or politics in school. He said, that's weird. They were the ones who made them. I said there should be no BLM in schools, period. It does not matter the color you make the posters and the font you use. We all understand the meaning. It is a political message about getting rid of police officers, rioting, burning buildings down while King Governor Welch just sits on his throne. We all know. Changing the font or the color of posters does not change the meaning. I am 9 years old and I know that.
I love how she looks exactly like Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
Only, unlike Greta, who had to kind of, use her window of opportunity of a year where it was YouTube's policy where you couldn't criticize her. She's got like,
lots of time.
She has 9 left. She's got 9 left.
She's throwing down the gauntlet.
Please, sweetheart, just use it. Criticize everybody. They can't say anything back. They're not allowed. It's big tech policy.
They get removed.
I love how she's like, they said they're just not going to take it down. I was like, yeah, you are.
I was like, yes.
Contrast that with Greta Thunberg. You sit on your throne of visions of endless profits and capitalism, when really we should ascertain. Shut up. You know what? I guess it was sort of self-fulfilling because no one cares anymore.
How dare you?
Well, we continue to dare. By the way, I love how she quoted the policy to him. She didn't just say, I don't like it. She said, yeah, you are, because, here you go. Policy.
This is what you wrote?
Yeah. The way to do it.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, well, that's strange. I mean, they're the ones that put the poster up. And I was like, it's almost like there was some kind of nefarious plot.
Oh, in her American flag tank top that she got at Old Navy before they went purple for 4th of July. All right, so now let's move on here. By the way, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed, because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot, and especially the schedule is going to be a little bit intermittent here for the month of July. Yeah. Some Change My Minds, some long-form videos, and many documentaries. Every July we take some, we take about 2 weeks off.
Yeah. So we don't want to hear in the comment section, where are you?
Yeah. No. Well, no, it's okay.
We're coming back the next month.
There will be about, I think, 5 to 7 like long format. We have some Ash Wednesdays actually. One with Jason Whitlock, one with Apollo and Dave Landau. So we've been pre-taping a lot of stuff. We have to upgrade the studio, and I have to open my chest.
You have to upgrade your heart.
Titanium rods, but no, not my heart's. My heart doesn't work well, but my heart itself is perfect. I'll explain it later. It's my bone is caving into my heart.
Yeah. So what happens if I punch you really hard in the chest?
I die.
Really?
How dare you?
That's a missed opportunity. No, I'm kidding.
How dare you? Too many.
You're like Superman. You got to.
It's almost the reason for getting it fixed.
Yeah.
So let's talk about California since it's Cultural Appropriation Month. It sucks. Now, we all know that it sucks. We all know that California is not doing well. Right. They've had population loss, which is almost unheard of in a state with that much oceanfront property.
And mountains and beauty everywhere.
And just rich in natural resources, unfortunately rich in natural assholes. So
they tend to flock there.
It's just saturated.
It's the soil. It's something in the soil.
Capistrano.
Filled to the brim. So let's start with this. A few reasons why California is up. Hey, do you remember I think it was about this time last year when Donald Trump pointed out that California, their wildfires were out of control due to poor forest management. I don't know if you remember it. Let's go back in time.
And I see again the forest fires are starting. They're starting again in California. I said, you got to clean your floors. You got to clean your forests. They have many, many years of leaves and broken trees, and they're like so flammable. You touch
So
it when it
flammable.
goes up. I've been telling them this now for 3 years, but they don't want to listen. The environment. The environment.
I love how they play that as an
own. It's
yeah,
like,
it's like
it's actually true.
You clean your floor, and here's what they try to do. They try to go, Donald Trump. I'm surprised they didn't say Donald Trump tried to, Mr. Clean the Floor, tried to pine sol, the redwoods, just like I said, Donald Trump tried to inject you with bleach. No, he said disinfect and said maybe we could get in the body. He said clean the floor. The difference is he says things that sound that are inarticulate. Let's be honest, but he knows what he means.
Exactly, and he's not wrong.
Whereas
when he
Joe
says that.
Biden has no idea.
Yeah,
it seems like that would be an industry term. Clean the floor of the forest floor. They probably
Floor.
use that term.
Mr. Miyagi did it.
Yeah, clean the floor.
This is not, and I know we have some stuff we got to get to about this, but this is not rocket science. Like, I follow this very closely because of the wine business, and you're going to find, I'll give you a fact after you go through.
Okay, well, because keep in mind that Trump was mocked mercilessly by the media. Right here we have from Politico, USA Today. They said that they didn't think he understood the science of wildfires. It says, Trump's suggestions have prompted head-scratching from experts who say his prescriptions, more raking, less water released into the ocean for environmental purposes, suggest he does not understand the science of wildfires. Then USA Today reported the issue would only get worse if Trump ignores climate change. And Gavin Newsom tweeted, "You don't believe in climate change. You are excused from this conversation." Hey, that's a tactic of the left. Just remove them from the conversation. Just like parents at PTA meetings or people on big tech platforms or the president from big tech platforms, or in this case, the president from being correct.
Absolutely. Well, look, you have wildfires. They're going to happen in this part of the country every single year. This is not a surprise. What you see, though, is from 2012, I believe, to 2016, or maybe even started just before that, they had this huge drought, right? Not a lot of wildfires. They had some for sure, but not crazy. You know when the first year that they had like crazy wildfires in that entire stretch was? 2017. Do you know what happened at the end of 2016? It rained. Stuff grew, then it died, then it caught on fire. You know what happened in 2020? It rained in 18 and 19. Stuff grew, it died, it caught on fire. If you get rid of that stuff, you greatly enhance your chances of avoiding massive, out-of-control fires. By the way, the last two, I believe, were either caused by the gender reveal or the major ones were caused by PG&E. Right? They've just been sued for that. They had to pay a ton of money for that. They had to go through and retrofit their line so they couldn't touch it. That's a good idea.
Well, by the way, you get a couple birds in your beard and you're Mr. Arborist.
I will listen. I want good wine to come from California, and 2020 is a complete.
You told me you had a couple of tidbits. Sorry, because you know about wine. That's the whole segment.
That was a deep dive.
No,
that's good. Well, and also, by the way, you were talking about the P&E.
PG&E,
PG&E, sorry, yeah. You were talking about them. Then, of course, it's exacerbated by them not clearing debris, by them not doing controlled burns.
Right.
That's what people don't
And
understand.
listen, by the way, don't buy a house in the middle of nowhere with a fire department 45 minutes away and woods all around you. That's a bad idea.
Well, how am I gonna piss on a giant tree next to David Gergen dressed in a female tracksuit?
Well, no, I'm fine. We just won't count your body as the toll. Like when you die, we'll just be like, no, he didn't die.
There's someone going nuts in the comments section right now if they know. By the way, hit that like button. If you're watching right now live this second, you can do it. Hit the like button. If you know what I'm talking about with David Gergen at the Redwoods.
9.
So guess what? Donald Trump is out of office.
Yeah.
And kind of like Donald Trump out of office now, we can say, maybe, like before we're saying, no leak. There's no lab leak. And then he's, did he close it? There might be a leak. Now, Donald Trump is out of office. Right? What? He doesn't know anything about the science. Why are you talking about clean the floor? No, clean the floor. What is he? He doesn't understand climate science. Okay. Yeah, is he out to? All right. $500 million to start cleaning the forest floor.
Look at morons,
in California.
Man. Unbelievable.
This comes from Bloomberg. Without all this fuel on the forest floor, California officials contend blazes will be less likely to turn into the mega fires that devour thousands of acres.
Well, that's interesting. It's almost like that's a good idea.
And by the way, this isn't conjecture. All sources available at ladderscrater.com. Scientists said, well, we actually thought the lab leak might have been possible, but we didn't want to be attributed with Donald Trump. Kind of like people said, well, you don't need a mask after the vaccine, but we don't want people to think that we're freedom-loving Republicans.
Right. Well, there was actually an expert in an AP article from Alberta who said in one paragraph, he said, I have Donald Trump's plan. I'm paraphrasing. Donald Trump's plan. Clean, whatever. That's not. And then the next paragraph down, yeah, absolutely. It actually helps if you do that to make sure there's not enough fuel for fires.
Of course it does.
Well, I was like, are you the same person that said that? Just a paragraph above?
Yeah.
That's why I need to be governor, fellas.
Yeah.
You can make the change.
You seem
necessary.
Positively reasonable.
Well, he's gonna piss him out. It's a fire hose. Guy took
That's why I don't cut it off.
She took on
dangerously close to my home in Malibu, as you know, fellas.
This needs to change.
You ain't black.
The only thing dangerously close to Malibu is you.
Yes.
So, yeah, $500 million. And we'll go back to while you're talking about California and their water issues. That's another thing. Got to save the salmon and smelt.
Smelt.
So, assault weapons is another issue in California. It's not just wildfires that suck, and of course, they're doublespeak politics. A few weeks back, we covered how a judge, of course, said that the assault weapons ban in California, you can bring up the overlay, was unconstitutional.
That was amazing.
Right? Government is not free to impose its own new policy choices on American citizens where constitutional rights are concerned. We said, well, we don't know if it's going to stand. Well, right now it's not. The Ninth Circuit blocked Benitez's ruling, furthering review. And this is important to note. This is also why when people say, hey, the court, look, any institution can be politicized. You have a judge, and then you have other judges say no. And then maybe you never know. Sometimes it goes to the Supreme Court, and they decide another. It happens all the time. Yeah. That's why we need a system of checks and balances. Right. Of course. That's also why you should have some people who are somewhat accountable.
Yeah, well, and it shouldn't be like that, but it is. The Ninth Circuit, is notorious for being super liberal, right? Anything that goes through the D.C. circuits as well, same thing's going to happen. Same thing for these guys. They do all California, the West Coast, Arizona, all of it. So it's always going to happen like that. Just wait till it gets to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, we'll see. And by the way, this ruling is especially bad in California. Really, because of, it's most bad for, I don't know if it's considered term national, but rooftop trees. People know about rooftop trees. It's actually a thing in California, but it's not what everyone thought. They have a problem with, they have a problem with the Godzilla rooftop. Is this in California?
Yeah, it's California.
Breaking, yeah.
Well, I just hope the girl from Stranger Things is safe.
I know. Well, look, that just usually pisses him off.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not going to be enough.
Koreans get pissed off easily.
No, I mean Godzilla.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's like,
sure.
Well, it's
a little both of it.
It's like Gnats flying around. He's like, what are these bullets? Oh, I'm just going to attack the thing firing at me.
And he holds the trigger before aiming.
Yeah,
that's true.
And it's not an automatic. It's crazy how it does it.
Hey, I have a quick breaking news update.
Oh, what's happening?
So Rudy Giuliani has been suspended from practicing law in New York.
Oh, really?
New York, huh?
No, well,
an unbiased state if I've ever seen one.
Hey, look, I understand that the law needs to be respected, and Giuliani, maybe there were some infractions, but I suggest a career in carjacking.
It's going up.
Numbers are up.
Yeah.
It's a growth industry.
Future in that.
Yeah. Just saying.
Can I buy stock?
Homelessness is another problem in California. Of course, we all know this. Yeah. Joe Louis actually crawled into that tent. We didn't know if he was going to stay in the tent. Now he likes it.
He's content.
He likes it.
Content.
Could you imagine if you just woke up and he crawled into your tent? Could you imagine if you woke up and that monster was in your tent?
I would do whatever he said.
I'd be like, you know what?
What he say?
The way he said.
You mean business?
You mean what you say?
So homelessness rose. This is what's so shocking to me. You know that people are leaving California. People at Daily Wire, Joe Rogan, Bill Maher is talking about leaving California.
Can you leave your policies in California, by the way? This is a little public service announcement for Californians moving elsewhere.
Yeah.
It's great here because your policies aren't here.
Right, yeah.
Because you haven't been here.
Well, just give it time. So homelessness, though, before the pandemic, 2018 to 2020 rose 24%. And
my bros.
Yeah, 24%. Wow. And of course, San Francisco is one of the main, I guess you would say, main drivers of this, main culprits, main shitholes. Over 8,000 homeless people out of a population of under 900,000.
Club's growing.
That's a lot.
That's a huge number of homeless people. Piles of human crap.
It's almost
litter
like
the streets.
Had laws that encouraged people.
Yes. You would almost think so. And what's funny is the mayor of Austin, when he was on Joe Rogan's show, he was talking about, we really wanted to get a handle on the homeless problem. So I spoke with the mayors of San Francisco and Seattle. Come again, stupid?
Did you really?
What?
I'm kind of retarded.
Yes. This is because, and then people say, why are you being tribal? When you have a mayor of a major city in Austin who really could speak with any other mayor of a major city in Texas that's not Austin, and he's reaching to the worst San Francisco and second worst Seattle. Let's just be honest about this. When people try and say, they only try and accuse you of being tribalistic when you're a conservative and you just draw a line in the sand and say no. This is what Democrats do. We know it. There are no people who reach across the aisle anymore. And I don't know where you find common ground when it's the party that believes abortion up until and including birth. And they will actively oppose Donald Trump on forest fires, on lab leaks, on economic policies just because it's from Donald Trump. How do you find common ground with that?
Right. It's like people who have a human trafficking problem reaching out to Bangkok to figure out how they've solved it. And they're like, oh, yeah, well, let's call Cambodia too. Number 1 and number 2 in the world.
Way to vilify an entire nation of people there,
Listen,
Jack.
I'm sorry. They're number 1 and number 2 in the world in a terrible crime.
Yeah, I can absolutely believe it.
Yeah. Seen it firsthand.
This is another thing, of course, rolling blackouts in California. Now we're talking about it. California. And again, keep in mind, this is a state that has so much water, and it also has a lot of running water. It should. It's like there's also a lot of people don't know this. There's a lot of fresh water in California, too. Not as much as like Michigan or Wisconsin, but it also has oceanfront property. You're talking about a place that has weather that is conducive to maintaining a population. Yes. Really, you would have to attempt to screw it up, which they have.
Which they succeed.
Doesn't take that much effort for them.
Do you ever just drive across this country and you like just drive through the Phoenix area and you go, wow, someone initially really put some juice into setting up camp here.
A lot of energy.
Pre-air conditioning, nothing grows.
Yeah, let's just stop here.
Like that breeds a different kind of person, whereas you just walk into California and you have to duck from falling fruit. It's just
it's
abundance of everything.
The whole coast is just,
If you were to go back 100 years and tell people, like, actually one of the fastest growing areas are in places like Texas and Arizona. They'd be like the place that doesn't grow. And you said you won't believe it, but 100 years from now, California is going to be covered in human shit. What? And you're going to run out of water. Okay, obviously you're the crazy homeless person because it's California.
Anything grows there.
How do we run out of it? Yeah, you spit a seed.
Seriously.
And it blossoms. It blooms. What are you talking about? I'm like, well, you know what? Wait till you learn about Gavin Newsom.
Jerry Brown before him. Schwarzenegger? Really? You elected an actor?
He was too busy banging the maid.
That's true.
By the way, that just shows you that
terrible.
It's a love child.
Terrible because she's the most unattractive human being ever.
It's terrible on so many fronts.
Boy, he must have been bored.
I do it because
and
I
on
can.
lockdown.
Yeah. It's a crime. It's a crime of power.
It was either her or the.
It's not attraction. It's power. Take it. Then you're going to bear me a son who will look like me. I'll say he looks nothing like me. They'll buy it.
It's spitting image.
She's just like, I used to be a Republican. This is the thing. People who watch the show all week, you know what that is. But follow the breadcrumb. Like
yeah, exactly. Well, they dump trillions of gallons of water into the ocean every year in California. Trillion. I'm not kidding. Trillions every single year, because they say that the pumping system that they use is harmful for that smelt that you mentioned earlier, because they're poor swimmers, and they don't like the next paragraph.
Wait.
Story.
No, hold on a second.
A fish, poor swimmer.
So I did my research and I knew about the smelt. Are you telling me? Are you telling me that Tom Selleck has to smuggle water for his avocado farm? Not to mention the people who are dying of thirst and crops, because they have to save. I know the smelt, but they have to save the smelt fish. But this fish needs particular protection.
Yes,
because it's not good at swimming.
Now that you say
nature
it like that.
selected them for extinction.
Exactly. That's like the Island of Misfit Toys, the boat that can't stay afloat. You're not a boat anymore.
No, exactly. And by the way, you know what the lifespan of this fish is? 1 year.
Yeah. Well, I think it should be significant. I think it should be less than that.
Absolutely. What they do,
I think it should be no years.
They blame these pumps, right, that are going to give water to, I don't know, actual human beings that need it to survive. And they say in the next paragraph, and by the way, it has tons of new predators. They're eating it left and right, but there's debate on whether the predators are the problem or the pumps.
Yeah, no, the science probably isn't in yet.
No,
if oceanic predators might prey on fish that can't swim.
It just makes
Screw off
fish. Get out of here.
Trillions of gallons.
Crying out loud.
I'm not exaggerating.
That's like when that lady in San Francisco who was swimming with the great whites got bitten in half, and they're like, do we have a cause of death? Take a stab at it. Take a stab at it, David Caruso. Wow!
Suicide. It was suicide.
I won't get fooled again.
We're like, what was it, COVID? Yes.
That should be a short episode.
Yes, COVID. Oh my God, that microbe has a really weird bite mark. Okay, so I want to get back to the smelt because I didn't know that part.
Wow.
That's important.
But the rolling blackouts, and I know you're going to say Texas, but it's the totality of this. And yes, Texas may have rolling blackouts, but you also have to understand that we should be able to have an energy grid that can handle this. It's because of bureaucrats who don't allow us to utilize it properly. Just like California, but at least we don't have to save the smelt.
Well, you remember the freeway that had to be rerouted because of the plant that was believed to be extinct. They had to avoid. They rerouted the freeway.
This is in California?
In California.
Yeah.
Bent the entire interstate because of a plant that was believed to be extinct. It had to be
Could
left to flourish.
Could they just build that freeway right over San Francisco? Like on San Francisco? Like just drop it like Roller Coaster Tycoon?
Good idea.
Onto San Francisco.
So, give you a warning.
Rolling blackouts, something they have. 2/3 of California's electricity comes from carbon-free sources. Well, that's very nice.
Yeah.
Except it means they have to have rolling blackouts. Gavin Newsom... Oh, God. He has to have
popular.
people to shut off large appliances and lights at 3 p.m. every day when this happens.
Oh.
During this major heat wave, we need to conserve energy. A few simple things you can do. Set your AC to 78 degrees or higher during 3 to 10 p.m. Turn off unnecessary lights. Use major appliances during cooler times of the day. So I guess cooking dinner is out.
Yes. Sorry. By the way, you know what 3 to 10 p.m. is? The hottest part of the day, typically.
Basically
until about
all day.
8 o'clock. Thanks a lot, Gavin.
You also can't take showers and do laundry.
Well, that explains
You can't do anything.
It's pretty bad.
It's almost nicer to be homeless.
Yeah.
The rules don't apply to you then. You can do whatever you want.
You're like me when I was a kid and I get punished and get sent to my room. I'd be like, well, I wanted to go to my room anyway. So thanks.
Oh, don't make me be homeless.
Don't make me get free food.
Yeah,
no. Anywhere.
No. The soup, it's gumbo day at the soup kitchen.
I'm lactose intolerant.
Hey, by the way, if I'm in charge of California, we're serving homeless people milk and smelt. Because they dump milk. They dump milk, too, to fix prices. People don't know about this. This happens with milk and cherries in Michigan.
Oh,
So cherries in Michigan, they're a very persnickety crop. And some years you have an overabundance.
Right.
And they don't even allow the farmers to keep their own cherries to make pies.
Gotta destroy them.
So you got to destroy them because we have to make sure that the prices are fixed. To me, I'm like, aren't there homeless people to feed?
I know, right? That would be an easy solution to the problem.
Yeah. All right. So California, of course, this goes to droughts. The most recent one lasting 5 years in California, right? 2015 to 2016. And why can't they pump more water? Environmental laws, of course. So this goes back to 2008. The Fish and Wildlife Service, they placed limits on water that could be pumped out of Sacramento, San Joaquin Delta, and sent south to Central Valley farmers to protect, Delta smelt. Yeah, Delta smelt. So you kind of stole my thunder on that one. But this just happened. So you would say they've learned from their mistakes.
Yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.
Right?
They can redeem themselves.
Is that fair? You falling asleep there, Kevin?
Second chances.
Put him in a dress. It's like he gets lulled to sleep like a womb.
Look, just because you look like a woman doesn't mean you get to act like
no,
one.
doesn't
That's
mean
rude.
pay attention.
It is man.
Okay.
I just know he's very.
I'm a horribly ugly woman.
Yeah, well,
you are. You
are like Gene Hackman in Birdcage.
That's putting it generously.
Yeah,
So,
it is, yeah.
Last week, though, we know about the smelt before.
Right.
But now, this is last week, 4 hydroelectric dams in California and Oregon. They have to save migratory salmon.
Oh,
another fish?
We need to save the salmon.
Yeah, they have to be demolished.
Oh, okay.
Save the salmon.
What about power to save people's lives?
Well, they got to get their omega-3s. You heard of krill oil? Oh, by the way, we can't do that either. Remember? That was the thing, krill oil. Krill used to be something they put in dog food. I'm just going off here because I don't really care. Krill oil used to be used in dog food. They would mash it up and they would say, the most sustainable food in the planet because it's at the bottom of the food chain. Right? They would say, don't go after the apex predator. They said krill. And I'm like, krill's at the bottom of the food chain. You can't take krill.
That's what everything else is based
on.
off.
They can't take salmon. You can't take krill. Just eat the cicadas.
Once every 20 years. If you survive that long.
This is California is a masterclass in how to screw up a state, just like Detroit is a masterclass in how to screw up a city. People don't know this. Detroit, wealthiest city in the world in the 1950s.
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable. When I go to California, when I look at the natural beauty and the resources that they have, and honestly, once you get out of the major cities, the people are very conservative. I had a person, I'm not going to name them, winery owner in my shop yesterday. And Gavin Newsom came up, and before I'm always careful because I don't really know. Where
he came up in
conversation. And she goes, "Oh, that boob. Oh, geez, we hate him." It's just like they're conservative.
I appreciate you didn't give the name, the name out. So because the Mondavis wouldn't appreciate you talking.
No, I'm surprised you know Mondavi.
The Sterlings.
Oh, yeah. What are you doing? Like reading the bottom shelf of the grocery store?
Mr. Menage a Trois.
Okay, that's not a person.
It was Madame Naomi.
No,
I don't know. These are wines that I see.
I think I got a shot at this thing, Gerald.
Barefoot. No.
Oh, I hate that. Well, thank you, Dad.
Dad,
he's in character.
He's going to Tony Clifton this thing. We did want to include one positive thing about California, though, because I know there are good people, like you said, left in California.
They are,
so actually, our correspondent, Thomas Finnegan, went down there to give us some valuable history. There is a lot of rich and vibrant history in California. Its problem is the present. So we sent down Thomas Finnegan to give us a brief history lesson on some California facts.
Good morning, Stephen. I'm here in sunny California to give you some safety lessons for skateboarding.
Oh, great.
California is, of course, where skateboarding started in the 1970s.
Yep.
With the Dogtown and Z-Boys.
Z-Boys, that's exactly correct. He's got it right. Okay, Mr. Finnegan?
Oh, yeah, be careful.
Safety first.
Thank you. For our viewers, we appreciate it. All right. That helmet's not sized to fit.
My spleen!
All right, thank you, Thomas Finnegan.
Yeah, he's a good man.
Did you have anything else you wanted to add to the wine bit about smelt and stuff? Because you were telling me when you were getting your beard put on, you're like, I know a lot about California.
I just kind of laid it out for you.
Okay.
Just don't build in certain places. And there was one other thing that they said, LA, even in these drought years, had like 3.5 inches of rain. And they said if people would just start collecting their rainwater instead of the government building things to dump it into the ocean, essentially, right? Just running down the street, running down their aqueduct, whatever, into the ocean, they would solve 30 to 40% of their water problem just by helping people get cisterns and rain collection. They did it in Australia. It took about 5 years and they solved their problem.
Yeah.
California's known about this for decades.
By the way, in Australia as well, they've been, if I'm not mistaken, more at the forefront of, is it desalination or desalinization?
Well, that is, I don't know which one it is, desalinization. There we go. It has the Z in it.
Yeah, so they've done more, and I know, look, here's the issue. When you look up as to why they don't do it, it is expensive, but the costs have come down quite a bit, and they certainly could come down more, but the biggest barrier to entry, of course, is the environmental laws.
Right.
Again, because, and not to say that there isn't any kind of environmental impact, however, at a certain point, you have to weigh the pros and the cons. They go, well, it could be a negative feedback loop where then the world gets warmer. Yeah, but if you have a never-ending supply of water because the majority of our Earth is it, that seems like it would be seen. And you know what? One other thing, too, that I want to say, this is also just an example of how pampered we've become when we're talking about some of these problems. And I'm not saying that if the world doesn't get warmer 1.6 degrees that we're not all going to die, because obviously that's settled science. Yeah. What I am saying, however, is the fact that we consider this so catastrophic, when right now, for example, in Michigan, we talked about this, Great Lakes, last year, record highs. This year, still really high.
Yeah.
Okay, record growth for their crops in the Midwest. I always use cherries just because it's something that's really big. If you guys know, in Michigan, it's a very difficult crop because what it requires, the cherry, right? It requires a very long, slow thawing winter.
Yeah.
Meaning, it can't be extremes, hot or cold, because they say global warming. You go, well, that's really cold. Let's see, now it's extreme. It's the extremes. Right. It's climate change. Well, a cherry, if it, for example, if it thaws once and then frosts again, you lose all your cherries.
Yeah. Same thing with grapes.
So is it the same thing?
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good metric because it's a long, slow thawing winter and then a good summer. That's what's required for cherries. Record cherry crops, but I just use that to try and put a finer point on it. We've had unbelievable crop yields in the Great Lakes region. We were told, of course, Great Lakes, the most important fresh body of water in the world. We were told that it would be gone by 2021. I think in 2017 they said record lows, record highs. Okay. So now they are saying, though, however, the record highs and the record crop yields and the cherries, this is climate change now. And so we need to act. Okay, if you take us out of this century, so any other century ever in the history of human existence, okay, and try to explain that concept to them. They'd be having harvest festivals, right? They'd be going, look, oh my gosh, the Lord has blessed us. We have more water than ever, and the ground is more fertile than we could possibly imagine. We're planting things we didn't even know could grow here. Yeah. Look at the cherries. We have an overabundance that we could have never imagined in both water, sustenance, and someone goes, actually, that's a problem. They burn you at the stake.
Yeah. They were like, I guess sacrificing Carl worked.
Yeah, that's great. Turns out all we need for record high levels in the lake is more Carls to burn.
Anybody got a Carl?
So I'm just trying to put it into context. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't problems and we don't need to be responsible with our environment.
Irresponsible, yes.
No, I'm not saying that we don't need to be responsible.
Yes,
yeah, okay, Jack Dorsey, you're going to call me and everything.
Don't forget the suspended president.
What I am saying, though, is we have to weigh the good and the bad.
Of course. You have to balance your policies out when you're talking about the environment and people. And in California right now, they've said the only thing that matters really is environment. And people really do come second, because if you're allowing your population to live homeless in San Francisco, you're just perpetuating homelessness.
Right.
You're just normalizing it. You're supposed to try to help people get out of that. You're supposed to say, hey, don't poop in the streets over here, because that's not sanitary. We've gone away from doing that.
And here's a perfect, and I'll leave it with this. And we're going to take our costume winner at Mug Club. You guys can comment below. Also, since this is the last week of Cultural Appropriation Month, it's been a wonderful June. Let us know which countries you want next year, and we'll compile a list. Here's what you also have in California, and it's very similar to Michigan. Okay, I use these states as examples because they're states that shouldn't suck, but they do. You have a few people on the coast in California. Who do you think is more affected by not building dams and needing access to water? It's people inland. Right? It's people inland. These are people where they're living in regions where probably they're getting less water. This really affects them. But because of people on the coast who don't know what it's like to live in an actual desert climate, not near a large body of water, those people suffer. A perfect example in Michigan. There was a vote, I believe it was the UP, if I'm not mistaken. Someone can call me on it. I don't remember the exact region. It was either the Upper Peninsula or a northern county in Michigan. They had a vote, which shouldn't have been a vote. They have a wolf problem.
Yeah.
Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you see a wolf, no vote. You should deal with the wolf. Now, there was a significant enough wolf problem where they wanted to allow a wolf hunt. Now, I know you guys may have some opinions on whether you should be able to endanger. Okay, fine, whatever. But the point is, there was enough of a prevalence of wolves in this area of Michigan where they said we need to have a concerted wolf hunt, and they weren't allowed to because of people who live nowhere near the wolf area of the state saying that, well, it would be mean to take out wolves. And they said, no, we have wolves. It's a problem with our livestock. It's a problem. We're concerned for our kids. And they said, yeah, well, you should think about the environment and that the wolves keep the coyotes in check. They said, well, okay, be that as it may. Right now, we're a little more concerned with keeping the wolves in check. That's at the forefront of our mind. Yeah. And because of some hipster at a coffee shop downstate, I believe it was a statewide vote, I could be mistaken, someone voting in Flint or someone voting in Detroit, people don't get to keep their own families or their own livestock safe. This is what happens. You have these elitists who have voted shitty policies into their, and by the way, not just voted, but voted in elected officials who then bring with them, like we're talking about, the deep state, and the deep state happens even on a local and municipal level, unelected officials who serve to maintain the status quo of regulations for unelected officials. And guess what happens? It affects the rest of the state like a cancer. Make it a good point, because we got to go out on this.
California is doing the same thing. You cannot shoot a deer that is eating all of your grapes, or a turkey that is destroying your grapevines. You can't do it because somebody took a vote in LA and San Francisco and said, it would be mean to shoot the deer.
You can't shoot them?
You cannot shoot, even if they're eating all of your grapes. And
you cannot shoot the deer or the turkey. Look,
turkey or any of those.
This is why I need to be governor of Michigan, although I wouldn't be governor of California because I wouldn't want to live there. No. But you know what? Okay, you can't shoot them. Poison the grapes. Problem solved. All right, we're going to Mug Club. Going to read your costume winner. Leave a comment below. Wish me luck with the surgery, but you don't have to. You two piss off.
Gotta wake up. All right, President Biden in North Carolina encouraging Americans to get vaccinated.
That was so rude.
Was it rude?
It's totally
rude. Oh, you've never been rude, have you, Geraldo?
Not today.
Yeah, you've been spending your decades ducking chairs. Yesterday at the White House, the president blamed guns and not criminals for the surge in crime. He also tried to claim the rise in violence is because of the weather and the pandemic. And then President Biden mocked the Second Amendment.
The Second Amendment, from the day it was passed, limited the type of people who could own a gun and what type of weapon you could own. You couldn't buy a cannon. If you wanted to think you need to have weapons to take on the government, you need F-15s and maybe some nuclear weapons.
So, Katie, he was talking about how silly the idea is of having the Second Amendment to protect against a hostile government or whatever. Now, this is after, I don't know, a few weeks since he claimed that a few hundred MAGA protesters were a threat to the democracy, the worst threat since the Civil War.
Right.
So what's it going to be?
Well, he's trying to say both, right? So
Yeah.
he's trying to say, A, he's threatening gun owners that if you dare to exercise the Second Amendment or stand up for your rights, then the government may nuke you, which is a weird position to take. And then at the same time, he's saying that people who were unarmed and didn't have F-15s or nuclear weapons who went to the Capitol on January 6th are also capable with nothing to take over the government. So that argument doesn't fly. But when it comes to what the argument he's trying to make, he's very out of touch with the current situation when it comes to firearms. First-time buyers last year, 40% of them were women. More than 50% of them were African Americans. The left is losing this argument. They're trying to continue this narrative that the only people who buy guns are white supremacists. That's just not true. It's borne out by the data. And the bottom line is that they are buying guns, if you ask them why, to protect themselves from criminals because all these people who are in charge in democratic cities are taking away their police. So they're their last defense. They're their only defense. And they're trying to make sure that they exercise their rights because they're under really tough situation with the crime right now.
You know, Jesse, last night we saw an attack on a police station after drug dealers were arrested. I think that was in North Carolina. Am I right?
Yep.
So these are things that the Democrats ignore, but and as they release looters and decide that they're not going to charge people who were rioting. But the good news is we were able to sentence a grandmother. Did you see that?
We sentenced the grandmother?
Yes, we sent an Indiana grandmother for entering the Capitol on January 6th.
We did.
Yes, to 120 hours of community service.
Oh,
so she got 120 more hours than Hunter Biden did for violating his gun law.
Exactly. Geraldo said she had it coming. God, you are tough, Geraldo.
No, think about it. Hunter Biden violated the same gun laws.
10 years in prison, a felony.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking about
But
it.
at least we got that
Zero
grandmother.
tolerance. Right.
So when Joe Biden says the F-15 thing, that's a straw man argument he got from Barack. Remember, Barack always said, what do you need a bazooka for? You do that because you're trying to make the other side look crazy.
Right.
You're crazy if you want to protect yourself.
What do you need a bazooka for?
So no one needs a bazooka. That's the point. You just fell for the straw man argument, Geraldo.
Speak for yourself.
So they'll defund the police, trigger a crime wave, and they say, what do you need a gun for? Or they'll bail out deranged homicidal maniacs. Well, what do you need a gun for? The McCluskeys, they get a rifle. BLM comes to their hood, starts yelling at them. They get indicted by a Democrat. We need guns because we don't trust the criminals and we don't trust the government. Not necessarily in that order. We rely on ourselves, and that's why the Democrats don't like that. We're self-reliant, and we don't rely on them.
The best thing about McCloskey's, they had to turn in their guns. The moment they turned them in, they went and bought them.
They got a bigger one.
That's an American, Geraldo. I think the issue here is they can't identify the problem because that goes right back to the cause, which is their policies. Right?
Yeah, but the Second Amendment, as currently construed, and even people who love me get mad at me when I say it, is stupid. It's what Katie's position is one thing.
Yeah.
You know, African-American women buying pistols and so forth. But what do we need these heavy weapons
AR-15s.
for? But why do we need AR-15s for? You can't hunt with
Yes,
it.
you can.
I have hunted with one.
Biden told, I don't know what you were hunting. Biden told
little rats in the river.
President Biden told the joke badly yesterday about the deer wearing Kevlar, and then he apparently forgot he had told the joke. He told the same joke about 2 minutes later.
He forgot?
But I mean, you don't need I think that these heavy weapons should have at least the same kind of requirements for qualifications as you do to drive a truck. At least have some instruction about what it is you're buying, what it is the potency.
There are more people killed every year by hands and fists and hammers than there are by AR-15s.
And also, this is not having any dent in what we're experiencing in this massive spike of handguns.
I agree with that.
You know,
that's not the story.
Yeah, Dana, there was something he said yesterday that I keep. Remember, he was saying that there are criminals living under bridges. Do you remember that part? And that was part of the problem. The criminals living under bridges, and we need to figure.
Also, we need to have community programs for summer jobs.
Yes, there you go.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you said that they need to be busy and they need to be not on the street. Like, well, they were kept out of school for a year.
Yeah.